Welcome back to WCS Europe Premier League Season 2. Game 1 already in the bag, and who else but the King of Wings, who's fast becoming the Highness of Hots. I don't know, I haven't got a better one for it. Maybe you have. Let us know via Twitter using the hashtag #WCS. We're going to get into game number 2 fairly shortly. But before we do that, let's just remind you of where we are in the tournament of the round of 16 right now. On your screen is the dual tournament format. MVP moves on to the winner's game, and it's just one more game away from claiming another place in the round of 8. It wouldn't be a surprise, would it, for the King of Wings? He's already taken one king down. It's time to introduce you to 2 more kings, 2 very different kings as well. Our next matchup is Grubby versus HasuObs. HasuObs, the King of Germany. If you've tuned into our EPS coverage, you'll know exactly why he is called the King of Germany. He came through with 2 fantastic results, Daishi 2-0 and Dimaga 2-1. Remember, Dimaga went to the World Finals in Season 1, and this season hasn't even made round of 32. He goes up against the Orc King. Of course, the one and only Grubby, currently ranked 44, which sort of belies his form. Did very well recently against Bunny with a 2-1 win, and despite a defeat against Vortex, also managed another victory against 4GG nonetheless. Another finalist, another round of 8 finalists from last season in Season 1. So 2 fantastic players ready to go head to head. Who's coming out on top? Is it the Orc King or is it the King of Germany? I know which the crowd are cheering for in here, that's for sure. It's time for Grubby versus HasuObs. It's also time to hand you over to our commentary team of Apollo and Colaris.
Thanks very much, Paul. Welcome back to Mr. Sean and myself, Mr. James. I guess I'll go with that for now, as we have a very, very interesting PvP about to unfold for you. Grubby versus HasuObs, both players very, very well versed in PvP indeed, especially the likes of HasuObs, who only ever seems to play PvP right now in EPS.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing. You know, HasuObs kind of plays in one area alone, and that's Germany, and funnily enough, we're in Germany again here, but he always plays PvPs because there's 2 players in Germany that stand out above the rest, and even back in the days when there was a couple more players like Dark Force and whatnot that used to play, but Soke and HasuObs were always the 2 players that would go to the finals, most of the time, if I'm not mistaken. So they're well versed in playing, well, HasuObs and Soke, HasuObs here today, well versed in playing Protoss versus Protoss in short series, best of 3s, best of 5s, and best of 7s if need be. He's got the experience. He's played a lot of tournaments in this matchup, and it actually reflects in his international performance when it comes to this matchup too. He's got a high win percent in it. He's good. Like, the bottom line, he's good within this matchup. But he is going up against Grubby, who is, you know, he's got just a wealth of experience in himself. He's a great, great individual, and could beat anyone in PvP on a good day as well. He beat MC and Bling on the way to qualifying here today anyway. Yeah, and there's been a lot of times where he's actually beaten MVP in the past as well. Intel Extreme Masters Singapore comes to mind, of course, Wings of Liberty, but PvP's not a massively different beast. There is the opportunities, obviously, now a bit easy to go for those expansion plays, which is quite nice. But these small differences that have changed in PvP have transitioned nicely from Wings of Liberty and given people comfort when transitioning on to their own strengths and styles. But as you say, a little bit more of an in-depth look at players like HasuObs. You were mentioning that Soke sits atop there as well, but PvP in general is so rampant throughout the German scene. It's the equivalent of Zerg versus Zerg in Australia, basically, right now. You've got people like Tarantius, people like Acro, people like Monshi, who previously won an EPS as well, all which Soke and HasuObs, of course, playing against time and time and time again. And these guys are no pushovers in PvP, and HasuObs just keeps going with it. And I think one of the best aspects of this Protoss versus Protoss coming up is that they've known that they're playing against each other for a long time, since we actually cast the round of 32 and we did the group announcement. And that's, for me, makes the best PvP. When 2 players meet each other in a longer tournament and they didn't know they were going to have to play that guy, it can be a little bit random. It can be a bit sporadic. You don't really know exactly what to do and what he's going to do. But when you're able to prepare, both players, well, they stream, first of all. They stream a lot, a very simple way to study your opponent. They've known each other for a very, very long time. Both players being Warcraft 3 pros before StarCraft 2. They know each other's style, not so much the builds and strategies, but style. aggressive, defensive, and so on? Do they like to push out on the map early? Do they not? And this kind of will always reflect in the individuals from a previous game to a new game, just the general style of how they like to play. And then best of all, just replays everywhere, man. There is tournaments, histories. Grubby played in the Internet Stream Masters Shanghai tournament, narrowly not making it into the main tournament itself, played in the open bracket, and he played a series against Oz. It was out there, it was streamed, it was publicized, so it's something that HasuObs can be like, all right, this is how you play. I've studied a couple of HasuObs PvP's games recently, so it's very easy to look at each other and be like, all right, this is how you play, this is how I play, and this is how to make the best PvP matchup possible.
And I really like that you bring that up, because in terms of the preparation for one another, because it's funny, HasuObs used to be a very, very predictable player in almost all matchups, but specifically Protoss versus Protoss. So much to, in fact, that during WCS Germany Nationals last year, we had Soke versus HasuObs in the finals, and right after all of the series had finished, Soke holds up a little piece of paper saying 1 gate expand, and he did that every single game because he knew exactly how HasuObs played. But now, HasuObs is a lot less predictable, and I think that's where a lot of his win ratio that is so strong right now actually comes into play. He's less in general, but he does still go for those big macro focuses later on, but he still throws in some very, very annoying little builds earlier on. A lot of blink play comes out from HasuObs, which is very, very strong in this matchup still.
From the things that, I mean, I've watched both of these players play Protoss games against other Protoss players in recent times. Grubby seems to be a player that is very calculated and will study and make a strategy and build to beat your opponent. For an example, Oz and the Internet Stream Masters would play who went 1 gate Nexus every game. Therefore, Grubby said, I will try and do a DT build every game to try and get in there before his defenses are set up. Whether it works or not, that's a different story, but he's a player that thinks like that. On the other hand, one of the games I've looked at, HasuObs, is a player that says, all right, I'm going to delay warp gate research for a couple of seconds here. I'm going to chrono boost out my Mothership Core and an early Zealot and Stalker, maybe a potential second Stalker, and I'm going to use these early units to narrow down the randomness of PvP to find out what you're doing. Because the randomness of this matchup comes in when both players have the option to choose their tech structure, but don't know what the other opponent's doing, so you don't really know what to choose. For example, Twilight Cancel and Blink is good versus Stargate play. So you don't really know which one to go for, but what I like in HasuObs' play is that he uses these, ground units to come at the front door, or poke up if you've got a single force field, not got a force field forever, he'll come in your main base. Stalkers can run away, he'll lose his out, what does it matter? But then the Mothership Core will come around the back and have a look inside the main base. And then upon when he sees what you're going for, says, all right, well, that's either a Stargate, Robo, or Twilight Cancel. This is the best against that, and we'll choose that tech structure and then follow an expansion play. And that just makes him a very, very strong competitor if he was to bring that similar style as what I've seen in recent games to the tournaments today. And as you can see, this guy right there doesn't care. That's SKMC. He is in the house, and of course he'll be looking eagerly on to this matchup too. Of course, he loves his PvPs.
Certainly does.
And maybe he'll play some rock, paper, scissors on the Weatherman screen later.
Maybe. But interestingly enough, you were mentioning expansion plays before. You were saying that the expansion plays have become a little bit more common in this matchup, which I mean, admittedly they have done. What's your go-to build in terms of trying to get an expansion down in Protoss versus Protoss? Where do you go? Because expansions always used to be very, very difficult in this matchup, right? But I think it's become a little bit easier.
It has become a lot easier. The way to play it out is you do need to double gases early, because you need to be able to bring in enough gas to get the Mothership Core out early, which is for the Photon Overcharge to defend the natural Nexus, of course. And then to be able to get a sentry out early too. And the sentry has double purposes. If aggression comes, you force field. If it doesn't come, you send out Hallucinating Phoenix to find out what your opponent's doing, and then either build straight away an Immortal if aggression's coming, or build an Observer if, potential DTs come. Or don't use it at all if there's some Stargate play, or, whatever it is, just make your mind up. So that's the way that if somebody of one of these two players wants to go that, it will be 1 gateway, double gas, get the Nexus down early, followed by a fast Robo. That's a must. There are some times that players play a little bit too greedy and get the Stargate instead of the Robo, but then they're almost saying, especially if they build Void Rays or Phoenixes, that they will die to DTs. So, that's the way it should play out if one of them wanted to go for that.
Well, we'll certainly see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if we did see some expansion play out of players here. But again, being part of the German scene, HasuObs has found himself part of that very, very aggressive play style that's actually come along here as Grubby darts on past us, and Stefano's here as well.
Stefano's in the house. Of course, he'll be playing in tomorrow's games. Grubby just darted to the toilet. We've got a couple of GIFs coming our way, aren't we? We've got MC at the back, and then you got Grubby running past. But of course, we'll be jumping into this game momentarily now, just waiting for Grubby to return wherever he just disappeared to, and we'll get the map vetoes underway. And that's something else that can play quite a large factor. There are maps that you don't want to go and get expansion on. Just an example for a couple of strategies. I think like Akalon Waste can be a very difficult map because it's nice and open to defend. But a map you would like to go on is Neoplanet S, for example, because the Photon Overcharge covers a much larger area because it's a smaller map. So map vetoes are going to be quite important to decide on, how they want to go in. Because I'm pretty sure, depending on the map vetoes, they already kind of have the strategies lined up to what they want to do. And it just, hopefully these maps can push it a bit more advantageous for either one of them.
Yeah, there's actually two really good points that you bring there. One, the photon overcharge radius. On some maps, having a huge main, not exactly the best thing to have when you want to go for a more defensive build in terms of that photon overcharge. And the second thing is, builds already pre-planned. That is very interesting. You generally, hi Grubby, again. You don't, the opening stages of a PvP aren't that reactionary. You go in with a clear mindset of what you want to do, what you want to actually make work, and then maybe if you see something far out of the ordinary, then you'll go for the reaction, but generally it's just stable and steady.
All right, so thank you for bearing with us as we did have both players running around and a couple of tech issues, but we are ready. Grubby will begin the vetoes. As you can see, he's already looking down onto that awesome clipboard by the commissioner of WCS, and HasuObs will follow. So we'll get these vetoes down in a couple of minutes for you on screen as myself and Klaus cannot hear, but Derelict Watcher just straight out the way.
Don't mind that too much. Derelict Watcher, it's an odd one. I mean, if you look at that map pool in general, a lot of players right now are not liking Derelict Watcher, so that just goes straight away, pretty much.
Look at, Derelict Watcher, I definitely feel is more so a map that you just don't want to play on. It's not so much strategy-based, it's more like, I don't really want to play that map. It's not a good map. I'd probably veto it in the ladder or something, and I'm always going to veto it in a tournament, so just get rid of it. Neoplanet S, that eliminates one-gate Nexus builds and whatnot. So this is a pretty cool start there from HasuObs, potentially showing us what we could be seeing from him, whether it is the aggressive blink play. Star Station, the other one from Grubby here.
It's clear that Grubby doesn't want to have to deal with potential aggressive blink play. Star Station's a great map for that kind of play, but that is gone here. So this could be going towards Grubby, who actually wanted to play a bit more of a macro focus. But there's still a lot of open potentials here on these other maps.
All right, and then we do have Newkirk out the way as well here by HasuObs, which leaves us with 3 remaining maps. We'll find out which ones in order in a moment, so you can see Grubby taking his time, just a couple of extra seconds, a couple of extra thoughts before he picks the first map. You veto first and you pick first.
The meditation of Grubby. I wonder if it might even be a mind game. I'm this calm going into this series.
I know what I'm going to pick, but I'm going to take as long as possible.
I'm going to draw it out for you.
HasuObs making his first appearance here in the WCS round of 16, and likewise for Grubby too. Both of them did fall short in the round of 32 last season.
Mouse Sports a team that has 4 players representing, actually, in round of 16.
That's right, Mana and, of course, Vortex and Lucifron. We're one of the strongest teams now, the recent signings of Vortex and Lucifron. Grubby, the Soul Warrior, just playing for himself, doing his own thing. And his next map coming in here from HasuObs, who is also thinking a little bit about it. Very tense between these two players. Grubby trying to stay as focused as possible. Breathing, just keeping calm, as he does prepare for a difficult matchup. And actually, I was looking up a couple of stats before. It was 50-50 between these two players in betting lines, in predictions.
Yeah, completely down the line, man.
And it really can go either way. So every little edge you can get, whether it be breathing and concentrating and keeping the heart rate down, whether it be picking the right map or whatnot, taking your shoes off, as it seems Grubby is doing here.
And I think my lip reading abilities say that Belshir will be second, as I think that's what HasuObs picked as Belshir, being second. So, didn't see what Grubby was picking, though. I didn't watch.
No,
so
we'll find out in a second. It should come up and show us momentarily. But both players now prepare for battle. This is, of course, the second game of the day, the second game of Group A in the round of 16.
Whirlwind.
And the winner will go on, of course, to play up against MVP. And the loser falls down into the pit of Group A, which is a very difficult place to climb up from. And as you said, yeah, we'll win to beginners on this best of 3.
Nobody likes the shoes on either. HasuObs is also taking his off.
Yeah,
so.
Play like you're at home, get comfortable.
Yeah, get comfy, man.
Grubby, look at that, very, very focused here today. Just if we just talk a little bit about Grubby, WCS this season means more than anything for him now.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't do well in the round of 32 last season, fell out to Baby Knight and Stefano. And this is his time. If he wants to be the player that he used to be, of course, with his Warcraft 3 history, it's about time that Grubby starts to put some big results out there. And well, he helped himself in the round of 32 this season with that all-important win against 4GG.
Oh, yeah.
That was a big win there for Grubby that pushed him into the round of 16. Of course, 4GG represented Europe ever so well last season.
I mean, it wasn't just a struggle in Season 1 for Grubby, it was also kind of a struggle in the round of 32 in Season 2 as well, in terms of 2-1 against Bunny, 1-2 against Vortex, then 2-1 against 4GG. Hard-fought series there, but this man, HasuObs, had a little bit of an easier road. 2-0 against Daishi, 2-1 against Demaga, now the only German representative in the round of 16, taking TLO's place from last season. And to be honest with you, I mean, statistics have backed this up, it's everywhere right now. HasuObs is playing at his peak performance right now. Very, very strong indeed. And, I think that a lot of that has to do with the current environment he's practicing. The fact that he has new teammates to discuss things with. There's a big, big team camaraderie in Mousesports right now, which is propelling these players further and further on with new signings.
Yeah, I mean, HasuObs is, as you say, playing at his best at this moment with fantastic results within the EPS, pretty much undefeated, I think. He's lost maybe one game or one map or a couple of maps here and there, but in the German scene, he's #1. I'd like to go as far as say, I don't know if that was too far stretched.
I mean, he was EPS champion last season. He's sitting 5 points technically under Soccer right now, but that is by the by.
I guess I always look and say, all right, he's German #1, and German #2 is Soccer, and then German #3 was Dark Force, and then Monchi, but if, or at least within the German scene, should I say, in the EPS, but we always forget about that one cheeky individual that always appears everywhere, and that's TLO, but you don't really look, well, for me at least.
He doesn't play in EPS or anything like that.
He doesn't play in EPS, he doesn't play in Germany, he's lived in Sweden, of course he lives in Berlin now, but oh my god, what the hell was that? I think that was a bit of a yawn and a roar at the same time. But yeah, TLO's definitely, of course, #1 German at the moment, but, Germans playing in Germany, HasuObs is that guy, and we're about to kick off this best of 3. Any predictions before we get into it, which we are moments away now?
I was trying at the very beginning, but it's straight down the line for me as well. 50-50 here. I think after watching a lot of the EPS here, as I do reside in Germany and have to commentate a lot of it, I would give the edge to HasuObs. But we shall see now as we jump in to game #1. We're going to be on Whirlwind to kick this best of 3 off. It's going to be Germany versus the Netherlands. Time-old rivalry here between Grubby and HasuObs. As we have spawned down to the bottom right-hand corner as our blue Protoss representing Maus and Germany. Give it up for HasuObs.
The only German representative taking the torch, the German flame away from TLO, who represented Germany and Europe super well last season.
And spawning up to the top right-hand corner as our red Protoss representing himself and the Netherlands. Give it up for Grubby. Wow, he is the favorite.
I guess Red Eye was right.
Yeah.
In the intro of the show, but now it is time to find out who goes on to face off against MVP, the reigning champion of the Premier League within Europe. One of these two players will play against him as things start to shape up with 13 gateways coming down. But Whirlwind, let's talk a little bit about Whirlwind here. Definitely a map that I would say we could see those one-gate nexus coming out.
Yep, we certainly could do. It's a big map. Scouting opportunities, well, it depends how you're going to scout. I think for Grubby, scouting clockwise is certainly something that does come very, very naturally to him, so he probably will be able to scout out his opponent first. Meanwhile, HasuObs, generally you would see him do the same thing, so he might actually do that as well, but unfortunately missed Grubby at the very beginning here.
Yeah.
But 2 gases have already been taken for both of these players. It's become what I would consider to be just the norm here in PvP now.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 kind of styles you go with, but it's always double gas no matter what. It's whether it's after or before the cybernetic score. Before means it's much more focused of a gas income, and even sometimes delays the cybernetic score, of course, because you get the, mining gas a little bit more hit. If it's after, the second gas comes down after the cybernetic score, it is a little bit more mineral focused. On Whirlwind, because one-gate nexus are so common, we do see a lot of just blind Stargate, proxy Stargates, proxy Oracles, proxy Void Rays and whatnot.
Well, the ability to go for them is certainly a very, very scary one, as HasuObs, as I said before, scouting always clockwise here and missing his opponent entirely for now, so he's not going to see him for quite a while. Meanwhile, the Grubby hasn't actually gone for a scout at all, so he's just playing a little bit in the dark. HasuObs is already dedicated to that second gateway, so very, very heavy Stalker focus for him to begin with. In fact, no, going for the Sentry, just to play a little bit more defensive.
Yeah, Sentry out super fast is, as mentioned earlier, for the Force Field, and then for the, if not needed to use the Force Field, for the Hallucinated Phoenix. Definitely feeling more so an expansion play from both players here. There is an option for HasuObs to be aggressive, but not with the Sentry first, as Grubby is completely, hasn't scouted whatsoever and is just going to go ahead and just say, all right, this is my build. Whatever you're trying to do, it doesn't matter. I'm going for this. And I feel that HasuObs will probably be doing the same here.
And what Grubby's doing right now is more to the map vetoes that we saw before, right? We were saying that, oh, you're getting rid of Star Station, you're getting rid of these maps where it's very easy to access your base via alternate routes than just the front. And Whirlwind's a great map for him to do something like this, play very, very economically focused. But meanwhile, HasuObs already throwing down that proxy pylon.
Ooh.
And it's going to be seen.
Yeah, that's a nice spot there from Grubby. As Grubby moves out, realizing he has not been scouted yet, was scouted late, and immediately throws down another gateway or a couple of gateways to make sure he is protected here.
And this is PvP from the German scene coming to an absolute T here for HasuObs. Just looking to go for a little bit of aggression potentially, but actually just going for the expansion behind it. After seeing his opponent's expansion, doesn't want to fall behind too far. It's a scary, scary place to be in PvP now, with Photon Overcharge being pretty damn strong.
Yeah, I mean, unless we see HasuObs do a bit of damage here, Grubby's definitely in the lead. He had a bit of build. He took a risk. He was like, it's a calculated risk. He was like, I'm going to go one gate Nexus, and I'm going to be confident to defend whatever comes. And now he has a faster Nexus, faster Pro production, additional gateways or an additional A gateway down, compared to HasuObs, who was a little bit later on all these things.
With HasuObs losing this pylon, well, I mean, he could have tried to, poke away with the Stalkers. I was trying to save it, but I sort of don't. I mean, it's a bit of an annoyance to lose that kind of pylon, but having it there to begin with and then scouting out your opponent, if there is an opportunity to pressure, then yeah, it's there already and you can actually warp in, which would have been cool. But sacrificing it now, it's annoying. But
there was an option here for Grubby to over-defend because there were units and Stalkers out, but he got a Hallucinated Phoenix inside the main and natural of his opponent, seeing everything. So Grubby's like, great, fantastic news, our Chrono Boost probes, you can't be aggressive, you've just thrown down a Nexus here. And, HasuObs on the other hand hasn't had that luxury yet, did not decide to use Hallucinated Phoenix, has to build an Observer first. Grubby built an Immortal first before Observer. Why do you need an Observer when you've seen everything already with Hallucinated Phoenix? There's no need. You don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. No threat of any Dark Templars or any Templar Twilight Council play that would be coming along here. So Grubby feels very, very comfortable indeed, putting the Forge down as well. And HasuObs even sees the Forge, but he's getting his own Forge behind this as well as adding on his second extra. Well, Grubby's adding on his extra gases as well. So very, very kind of moving into the later stages of this game focused. You won't be getting Forges if you don't want those upgrades later on.
Very even, but Grubby's still in a bit of a lead here. You can just tell by the gases. The gases are finishing for Grubby. They're kind of on the way here for HasuObs. That just tells us exactly who is where in the game. Grubby just a little bit ahead. Even getting a little bit eager here, moving out with that first Immortal. Is going to put a bit of pressure on here. There's not that much left to the home at defend. HasuObs has no idea. Well, he does have a little bit of an idea, but with additional units, he shouldn't lose anything here.
I suppose this does stop HasuObs from actually powering up a little bit more heavily than he would like to.
Yeah, this is 2 more Sentries got warped in. Grubby can always recall if something went wrong here, but this is just a pressure setup while he's getting the robotic space, slowing his opponent down further. Where's the robotic space of HasuObs? Why is it not down yet? Because Grubby slowed him a little bit here, put a bit of pressure on without really doing anything.
Very little. It's a nice, cute move here by Grubby. Just kind of flexing his muscles a little bit. Very, very even in terms of that Harvester count right now. And HasuObs adding on the Twilight Council as well as extra gateways. Just trying to Chrono Boost out those upgrades. It's important in PvP that if you're going to be going up to Colossus compositions, weapons upgrades are far more important than armor upgrades. Just the amount of damage that they get benefited from is huge in comparison to the armor benefit.
Both of them have scouted out each other here. HasuObs just saw the robotics bay and return, decided to throw down the Stargate as a kind of a reaction here, as well as a couple of extra gateways, which is very normal at this point, just increasing past the 3 he already has up to 6. But he will start Void Ray production soon. This is going to be an important scout here for Grubby that enters the main base to actually spot this, because he doesn't want to underbuild anti-air. He actually needs to get Blink of his own. Well, he's actually got Blink down anyway now as he spots it, but needs to get Blink, needs to add on additional Stalkers. And I wonder if Grubby could feel confident enough to take a third soon. I definitely feel so. I definitely think he can take a third very shortly. Upon seeing that his opponent is teching up through the Twilight Council tech, which is Templar Archives and air, I think this is fine to take a third.
Yeah, and Hasu here, he's completely diverted his tech path, as you rightly pointed out, from those Colossi, because he's getting the fleet beacon to get out those Tempests and try and bring down those Colossus numbers. This is something we've seen in the past in WCS Europe from people like Baby Knight in PvP, and it can be a scary build to go up against, but can HasuObs gather the momentum he needs to actually shut down Grubby, who's, once again, moving out into the middle of the map here?
I definitely, Grubby's already seen it, so I don't think this is going to be as impactful. Grubby says, all right, well, if you're going up all the way to the fleet beacon already, how much ground units do you actually have here? And we'll pressure and absolutely stop Colossus production behind this, I feel. After a couple of Colossus, we'll want to switch away. He cancels one Colossus, starts warping in a bunch of Stalkers, and is actually just going to go for a timing here. You know, I think he would have ideally expanded, you know, if he hadn't have seen this, but he's trying to go up to this. And Grubby's like, can I break him now?
That's a lot of firepower here that Hasu has. Charge is not done just yet. He needs actually that upgrade to finish here, so he can actually close the gap here with this army. But good force fields have split a lot of this off here. He's actually just going to try and focus this down. And a great feedback on that Mothership core as well. No more feedback recall available to him. The Colossus will end up dying, but at the cost of a Nexus. Great force field there though by HasuObs.
I'm actually caught between a rock and a hard place right now. That was actually brilliant from Grubby to pick that off, but a better feedback.
Yeah.
He's prevented the retreat. Grubby was 100% going to recall there, and he's lost a lot. He's lost a lot upon killing that Nexus. The question now, can Grubby rebuild what he's lost and make sure he doesn't die to a counterattack?
Exactly.
This is a counterattack move here from HasuObs. He's killed so many Immortal Stalkers and whatnot. This is HasuObs' chance to actually win the game despite losing his Nexus, I feel.
Oh, he's going to go for the Nexus again. He needs to go. He needs to go right now. 4 Immortals behind this. That's a lot of firepower here for HasuObs, but needs to close the gap once he goes. 67 army supply to 36. With that charge finishing up at the end of that engagement, it will close a lot of that gap and killed off a lot of that army. Grubby knows he's in trouble. The potential for that counterattack is on the way. Those 4 cannons going down. His reaction saying, well, I need to prepare as much as I possibly can do to deal with this.
I'm actually confused why 4 Immortals are not with this. You know, I actually don't understand that. You know, there's maybe a few things that I don't understand, but I don't know why they're at home.
Why has he left them there?
I think they definitely should be up there. They definitely should be there. There's a pylon on the right-hand side too. This counterattack could be very, very strong. They're now making their way across. And I think that HasuObs has now missed that opportunity, missed that timing window. Of course, you know, from him killing Grubby's army, Grubby's still making money. Grubby's rebuilding what he lost.
Yeah. Oh, HasuObs not bringing those Immortals along with him. I can't think of anything other than a mistake here, but that was a lot of firepower that he would have been losing there.
Yeah.
Grubby going for the pause.
I don't know why he left those back there, but Grubby, in return, though, is still building Colossus, feeling very threatened at this point. Needs to also stop building them because it's
kind of a tight bind that he's in, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the Tempests are still being...
Cast.
Okay, yeah, Grubby asked us not to talk about anything now, as he had to just double-check things with his headset. But yeah, we don't want to...
Them Ultralisks, eh?
Them Ultralisks, you know?
Them Ultras.
Those Bored Bailings that Grubby doesn't know about. Oh my god. You gotta be careful, Kalaris, man.
Gotta be careful, man.
Grubby must make sure to have an observer to get rid of those Bored Bailings.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and obviously HasuObs needs to be a bit worried about the potential Mutalisks.
Scary stuff, man. This ZVZ matchup. Come on, leaps and bounds.
Oh my god, I think he just caught a fly. Oh my god.
Yeah!
What a hero.
Even I'm clapping, because that fly was annoying me.
Oh my god, next time get him some chopsticks. Give this guy some chopsticks, man. Like, get rid of this fly.
Here's a present for you, Sean.
Wow.
That was fantastic.
He enjoyed that, didn't he?
Swatting down flies left and right.
But as you can see, it is hot here in the studios. It's hot in Germany. It is hot in Cologne. We should all go jump in the river afterwards. We'll all do it together. And all get arrested and all not turn up tomorrow.
Is that the right headset?
That's a different headset.
Oh, okay.
But Grubby He's seems like he's ready to go again. Of course, the referee making sure everything's okay.
I think we're just waiting for a little bit.
Yeah, we are just...
No one paused just yet, but this is a tense situation. Again, we're not going to talk about it just yet, but it's interesting how that engagement firstly unfolded. Again, the feedback on the Mothership core was a move of sheer brilliance, I want to say.
Yeah, that really was.
Yeah,
I did like that. That feedback was pretty sick. That actually, you know, if that hadn't have happened,
exactly, a whole different ball game.
That hadn't happened.
He would have saved a lot of those units, but oh no, okay, he didn't get the fly that was annoying us, but apparently there's a few. But anyway, we are just waiting, guys, staying still as Grubby. He's in an interesting spot. I don't want to talk any more about the games. Whatever. Anyway, so Sean here, coming into this group,
yep.
Now that we've had MVP already move on here, out of these players, who would you like to see rival MVP here in the winners match?
I would like Grubby to do it. I would like the Grubby MVP match. I think that would be pretty cool, but looks like we are into this again. And right, well, those Immortals, man, I really think that could have changed the game around. Still, 73 army supply to 58, still in the lead in that regard.
I mean, he could try and break. Grubby going for a bold third here.
I'm a little bit nervous for Grubby. I mean, the Colossus, I feel, are not as viable as they would like to be. Because there's one Tempest out and another one about to join them. There's a lot of Immortals that HasuObs has here. You know, and I actually would love to watch the replay to really break down, was that Nexus kill worth it or not, upon losing so much.
Yeah, exactly. One you'll see here, as Hasu also warping in a few extra Zealots, so you can try and go for the assault. But if you look at the income tab, it's now evened out because that second base has gone up. But before all of this actually occurred, it was a very, very different story. HasuObs lost a lot, but he didn't lose hardly any of his army here, as he now goes for the assault once again. Force fields go down. Very important there for Grubby.
Yeah, he's just going to come and cancel the third and walk around the left-hand side and go back. I think this is a very strong move here from HasuObs. Kind of keeping up his lead with the third base of his own down, and that's very smart. And should just leave to the left just in case a fight happens that he doesn't really want to take, but
you know, it's interesting.
Confident here.
I mean, Grubby's going for the Dark Shrine behind. This is getting +3 weapons, yes, but with the way in which this is now turned out, with HasuObs killing off that much army and now having control of his opponent's third location, with Hasu throwing down his third, is Hasu now in a bit of a good position if this drop doesn't do much damage?
He's in good position. And I'm not sure how much damage this will do, because there's cannons in the middle lines, but DTs are very good at just, with a couple of Zealots, to bring down the cannon in the middle line and then cause havoc. And that's what Grubby's here hoping for. He will spot the cannon. If he brings that down, he definitely can warp in some DTs.
+2 weapons already on these Zealots here. Going to take down that cannon very, very quickly with those Dark Templars now morphing in as well here. He actually just goes straight for the Nexus by the looks of things with those Dark Templars. Meanwhile, does force a cancellation of that third on with those units up to the top. So Grubby is still pinned back in terms of economy. But, the recall.
Oh, is the recall going to make it? The Nexus goes down anyway.
Oh, the Nexus falls.
So what did he go back for here? Like, I mean, if you break that down, why did he recall? He could have definitely kept the pressure on, and that's allowing Grubby to break out from his natural, who was 100% pinned back. There was 3-4 Tempests with that army. The Colossus aren't doing anything, and now Grubby, with this harassment, easily bounces back in the game. And with HasuObs run ragged between bases, Grubby's moving forward too. If he can catch this army out of position, blinks under a couple of Tempests or something that are much, much slower behind.
Very, very good moves here by Grubby to now break out. Moving into the middle of the map as well. His Zealots, do they have charge? I don't think they do, but... Oh, they do have charge. Okay, my apologies.
So
that's very, very useful indeed. But at the same time, HasuObs' army is very strong as well. Those Colossi are going to absolutely melt to those Tempests if they connect.
Well, Grubby sees this army, man. I'd be scared if I was Grubby there. Double Nexus coming down from Grubby.
Army supply still 117 to 79 right now. So HasuObs moving through the middle of the map once again, looking for the engagement.
This is very smart, I think, here from Grubby. He saw the army moving out, so he says, all right, great, I'm going to move forward, and he's going to move in and then go for a recall back. But the same thing could happen again. If that Mothership core gets feedbacked, and one High Templar's been warped into the production tab, wherever that guy is, he is aiming for that Mothership core. He can't lose it, because if he loses it, how the hell is Grubby getting out? How is Grubby getting out?
He's trapped. Grubby trying to flee from this location right now, trying to get as much as he possibly can do. Tries to snipe out one of those Tempests, but now HasuObs barreling down on this position here. Time Warp to try and slow down those Stalkers, but Blinks straight on out. He's going to lose so much of his army here.
I saw the vision of Grubby. It was like to go to the Nexus, pick off the natural Nexus, recall back, because then HasuObs comes to defend and you go back home. It's like a jigsaw, like a back and forth yo-yo. I don't know what it is, but it would have been beautiful, but he lost the Mothership Core, and now he's lost all of his units again. He's still harassing the third base, though, with that Warp Prism, and he's doing a good job, but still, army supply, double. Yes, he's killed a lot of workers, but it's double. How the hell is Grubby now gonna defend against this counter-attack?
This is gonna be difficult. HasuObs is this time gonna bring his Immortals with him. You can guarantee that, as he can just move on forwards. But he still has a pretty good economy behind this as well. So HasuObs right now, 82 army supply to 48.
Grubby needs time. He needs time.
Yes.
He's got a great economy. He's on 3 bases on 60 probes compared to 28. If he can buy himself time somehow to maybe keep HasuObs back and rebuild an army, maybe there's a chance here for the Dutchman. But HasuObs, I don't think is gonna, be fooled again here. He'll keep his defense strong at home with the units he has and knows this army is good enough to beat anything Grubby could have at this point. And I don't think Grubby can hold on to this. This can't be good.
Now, phenomenal feedback play here from HasuObs, as he's just shut down these armies time and time again. How is Grubby gonna thwart this assault? He's spreading himself to try and shut this down where he can, but the Tempests move into the fray here to try and get some free shots off on this army whilst moving on forwards. Grubby has to solve this dilemma very, very quickly, otherwise he's going to be in a bit of a bad spot.
Yeah, this is a puzzle which could be too difficult to put together here. I don't think he can solve this. He's going to try, though. He's coming from both sides, even more sides, actually. A couple of Zealots and DTs get warped in. Grubby's going to try to hold this stats. Can he do it?
HasuObs doesn't have that many Zealots, so he doesn't really have too much to tank. The Archons are going to have to tank in front of all of this, though. The Immortals do get pinned down by these Archons, but at the same time, the Tempest doing a lot of damage from the back, moves on back. There's 2 Dark Templar in that composition, helping out considerably.
There's no observer there. It's back at home.
He's going to get run. He has to run away.
And Grubby is some way finding that time to rebuild an army. These 2 DTs without detection there, all the way back at home, as HasuObs says, FML, I could have done it there. And now Grubby, still with the superior economy, has the opportunity and the time to rebuild an army that can equal what HasuObs has here.
Oh, and sacrificing some Zealots. Every unit here for HasuObs is so important. Behind this, he has 38 workers to 59. And Grubby is establishing himself his 4th base again. So now, Grubby, as you said, he's found himself the time. He's found himself that window to transition on further from this. What a great PvP game to open up this series. I am astonished by what's actually happened here.
I mean, the classic quote, the best games come from players who are good but also make mistakes in turn.
Yeah.
And that seems to be happening here. Yes, they are making mistakes, but it is very entertaining to watch how this is developing, because I felt that may have been too difficult for Grubby to hold on. He's not out of it yet. That's still a very difficult army that now has observers with it. Does Grubby still 20 supply behind? He's not out of the woods yet, but he's still bought a lot of time. Is he going to have enough now? 4 Tempests within that army for HasuObs. Going to be a nuisance. They are really untouched. The only way Grubby could ever get to it is a flank, or if he smashes this ground army, and then the air is left vulnerable.
Army supply is still in favor of HasuObs. The knee-jerk reaction of only having 1 observer out in the middle of nowhere to now having 4 observers out with a 5th on the way for HasuObs, making sure that he can not only keep an eye on his opponent's army, or try to, but also keep himself well defended and have good vision in the middle of the map. And
Grubby really is building up that Archon count, man.
Yeah.
The Archon count's going to take a lot of damage from the units that we see here. They're very good against the Zealots as well. Archons are very good at taking the damage away from the Immortals that are going to be trying to hard-hit armored units, which is not the case here. And then if somehow Grubby can keep his army that survives, he has the survivability within that army, maybe he can get to the Tempests.
And it's funny, the move away from Colossus that we've actually seen just in this game in general, because the Tempests come out, they deny the Colossus from actually being produced by your opponent, but in turn, because you're investing so much gas into the Tempest, you can't really build that many Colossus either until you get up to a few more bases.
Yeah.
This is a good move here, though, by HasuObs, shutting down some of these probe counts. It's 50. He's actually evened up the probe count quite considerably thus far.
Yeah, Grubby would have a bit better saturation, but that Archon got 13 probe kills there, or at least a couple of Zealots in the mix too, or whatever, but that was nice. Nice play there from HasuObs, who is moving towards their C side. Still with a pretty decent army size over Grubby. It is close though, only 10 supply difference now. But are these Tempests going to be worth the supply count? Remember, they are quite heavy in supply, 4 supply each. Are they worth it here?
We'll see. He's actually moving into a bit of an interesting
4
position.
cannons. The recall is there.
It certainly is, and there's no High Templars out for Grubby, so he doesn't have the opportunity to do as well as HasuObs would have done.
I think, yeah, HasuObs is going to go in and kill as much as he can on the Nexus, on the natural and the main base, and then recall out. Grubby, if he was likewise to get similar feedback to the one that we've seen from HasuObs.
What a dilemma that Grubby is in right now, and this is annoying. Losing that Cybernetics core, no ability to warp in any other gateway units other than the Zealots and the Archons.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, unfortunately, a couple of units get left behind, but nice play there from HasuObs. I think he can afford losing a couple there. That's a big hit there to Grubby. And then, of course, he's got the pylons and the units being warped into the top left of the space that can harass Grubby's new one.
Very, very back and forth here right now.
DT and 2 Zealots, I guarantee you they're top left. And I guarantee they're going straight towards this Nexus. No cannons. If that Nexus falls down, if that Nexus is destroyed here, and HasuObs sees it with his Observer, if Grubby doesn't defend that...
Ooh. Sees it with a probe. He needs to come back to deal with that.
Does he
have the recall?
I think he has to here.
Yeah.
He can't lose that Nexus. He actually can't lose it.
I think he has to recall as well. And there's a lot of Zealots actually warped in for the defense, but he still doesn't have the vision. That cannon warping into the mineral line should be able to provide him that to actually deal with that Dark Templar.
Yeah.
And he should be able to get back in time.
He does hold it. Doesn't need to waste energy on a recall there.
Good calculations by Grubby, actually, to not recall. Just to warp in a few units and, say, not leave your other bases vulnerable if there were another attack coming through the middle, for example.
So many Archons now for Grubby. I wonder if he would want to start to climb up with a Stalker count here. I feel a good flank with Stalkers, potentially. Although, of course, they have Blink here. Would be nice to get underneath these Tempests. But, of course, if the Archons survive long enough, they can do the same job, too, here. Get right underneath those flying hammers.
It's a weird situation we're in now because HasuObs is
he's got no Cybercore, that's why he's not adding on it. Forgot about that.
Yeah, he's currently at the disadvantage. HasuObs is at the disadvantage with the army supply just slightly. So Grubby with that slight lead, but income-wise, HasuObs is favored. So as again, back and forth, and
it's going to come down to the fight. It's like who's got the better position and the better army when it actually matters. HasuObs is climbing up in supply. Grubby now finishing with the Cybercore, adds on a Stargate of his own. I suppose there'll be for some. Well, with double.
I'd like Void Rays,
maybe. Void Rays are good in the early to mid game, but I don't think they've got that much value in the late stages.
I mean, what other does he go for Phoenix and then try that?
I think he just has the Fleet Beacon and goes up for Tempest of his own here. I don't believe Void Rays is the correct. There's too many Archons.
But double Stargate's worth? Is it just to get them out really, really fast to actually equalize up that number as quickly as you possibly can do?
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Well, he's adding on another rowboat as well. That's a lot of production across the current economy that he has. And adding on that left-hand side base as well as another Nexus up to the top here. So a very, very long drawn-out PvP to open up this series. And personally, I won't have it any other way. This has been already fantastic.
Yes, a great game. And Grubby's ninja expansions on the left there could work out quite well for him.
Hey, it will be the Fleet Beacon, so just going up to those Tempests himself. But with the prolonged Tempest production of HasuObs as well, I don't mind this choice now. Realizing that HasuObs does have even more Tempests coming out.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 Tempests out for HasuObs and a 4th about to come out. If Grubby somehow has 6, he now has what HasuObs has been dominating on for the majority of the game, and potentially more. And then really, what does HasuObs do to get to those Tempests? But Grubby's a way away from getting there, as we can see. And in the middle of the map now, HasuObs did move in, but also moved out as soon as he saw Grubby blinked forward aggressively. That's a pain. That's a pain.
That's annoying.
That's a kick in the side there for Grubby. He's hidden Nexus on the left-hand side, not going to be worth anything. 400 minerals down the loot, as we like to say.
I think this is going to be one of the first ever PvP big battles I've seen without a laser show of just Colossus versus Colossus, because there's actually not a single Colossus out in the field. So it's just going to be Tempest balls of death raining down from the sky from one another. And just Chrono boosting out those Tempests now is Grubby, just getting out as many as he can do.
I mean, it's all going to come down to the units tab, really, because it's going to be one fight, because they don't have that much money each. They don't have a massive amount of income. If we look at the units tab, you know, very similar in what they have. The only major difference is 6 Immortals for HasuObs. That's a big difference.
That's a lot
Everything
of
else
power.
is very close. 13 to 11 Archons, 4 to 2 Tempests. That's going to rise up in favor of Grubby very shortly. No Stalkers for HasuObs. I do think that's good as well, but actually, you know, it's good and bad. It's two different styles. It depends on what you like. I actually like to have a group of Stalkers, 5, 6, blink from the sides to get to the Tempests, if you're able to control. But this game will come down to one big fight.
Yeah,
but who has the better army? That's, you know, who's going to have the better army?
They're trying to craft it, and HasuObs knows that he wants to try and shut down those upgrades because he knows it's going to come down to a big fight in the end. So those Zealots trying to focus down Forges, doesn't get it in the end. DT versus DT, who will win? Well, apparently the DT that had Cannon and Zealot back up.
Does HasuObs know about the increased Stargate? No, well, he does now, okay. Yeah. He does now. And that may be a little bit worrying for him, I feel.
He killed off the High Templar. He had one High Templar with the army just so he could try and go for the feedback as well, but he actually sniped out. That was a good focus fire there from HasuObs.
Just looking at Grubby now, Tempest count's quite high, very equal in army supply, 136 to 139. Big attack here from Grubby, and of course he can't warp in anything.
Yeah.
He's got a couple units left to defend, though. I'm not sure that's enough.
Trying to shut down the shields upgrades again here, as those Zealots do get separated off slightly, but again, that's a lot of firepower that he has.
What's this in the middle of the map? Is this going to be the fight?
Grubby, are you going to go for this?
HasuObs is on the high ground, though.
Yeah.
So it's not like it can be the fight, and HasuObs would take an advantage in position up there.
It's over. He has the high ground. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi versus poor Mr. Luke. Not Luke, what man, but anyway, Anakin. But the point is that Grubby is actually got himself in a good position with those Tempests.
That's a nice hit. Nice use of the Hallucinated Phoenix there. Another one goes down, and another.
Oh, great vision. Takes down those Tempests very, very quickly. That limits him to no Tempest right now.
Grubby says, I don't need more Tempest because I've already destroyed everything you've got, and he's adding in carriers to his army composition here. They're going to be very difficult to deal with. You have a lot of damage back behind the army.
That's such a good move. It's
air dominance.
Yeah, exactly. It's relatable to the TVT kind of situation. I've killed off all of your Vikings. It's time to take full control of the skies now.
Yeah.
What a cool move here by Grubby, but he still needs a little bit of time to get that going.
Grubby's income is better as well. If you see that he's expanding to the top west of this base, or this map, sorry, with these bases, HasuObs is still on the kind of inner 4 bases you'd usually see in the earlier stages. If HasuObs doesn't do something to disrupt the economy of Grubby here, that's going to hurt because Grubby will start banking money now. He's starting to get maxed out.
+1 air weapons on the way for Grubby as well. So HasuObs needs to know what's going on, and unfortunately for him, he can't really get access to what's going on thanks to the positioning of Grubby's army there, and we'll push him back for now. Again, this is going to get out of control for HasuObs, but that being said, it won't be a HasuObs game without the game going over the 40-minute mark anyway.
Yeah.
So that's always important to get in very, very quickly for Hasu.
Well, this is a joint effort to push it over to the 40-minute mark here, as HasuObs does come in to try and bring this down. He will be able to, he's got a lot of firepower, he's got a big army, and he does get that down here, but Grubby, I think, is coming in for the fight.
Oh, does he have recall? He does.
Can he snipe that mothership core, more importantly? No.
Goes away.
The answer.
Leaving an Archon, poor Stalker, to actually get obliterated in turn. Did he see the carriers just then? I think he may have seen the carriers.
Yeah, there's not too much he can do about it now, though. He doesn't have the money to be able to, bring in his own air. So eventually, with Grubby's economy to the top left really supporting his choices and his army composition and army decisions, Grubby's starting, from, the early to mid game, turning this quite heavily in his favor here. One good fight and he could win this.
Now I've got to ask Apollo, if you are unable to now transition in, HasuObs will hold the phone. Storms will push those Archons away. Don't think Grubby wants to commit to the fight fully just yet. Just pick away at that. But actually HasuObs wants to commit to the fight here as he moves those Archons on forward. Time Warps try to slow a lot of that down. The Archons at the front for HasuObs get completely obliterated, and then Grubby's still marching on forwards, but he does lose a lot of his army thanks to those Immortals in the back, providing great firepower, and will push Grubby back for now. But he doesn't really have too much anti-air, so you can't... Well, the Stalkers are going to try and continue pushing on, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do a whole lot against this. More Storms hit a lot of this ground army. Grubby still has to flee. The Stalkers blink on forwards. They're going to die very fast.
He's losing a lot here. Grubby's losing a lot. Of course, the Storms did a lot of damage. We saw HasuObs land Storms on all the units, and then with the Archons of HasuObs doing splash damage over everything, Grubby's lost a lot. And he's down in supply. Is that income gonna be enough for him to keep up with HasuObs in this game? If he can somehow rebuild a bit of an army, that was not the best fight. That probably wasn't the fight that he wanted to take. It wasn't ideal. He's managed to save a couple of units, though. does he have what it takes to rebuild to defend against this?
It was a weird, weird fight, but now HasuObs here marching on forwards with that ground sledgehammer impact that he had. Grubby arguably needed more carriers than just 2. They don't really provide the great firepower that they would need to here when you have that kind of army. Grubby was not able to gather the full position that he wanted, and now HasuObs just marches on in. Doesn't have energy for recall, so can't get out of this position just yet, but I actually don't think Grubby can engage this head-on.
Yeah, this is a lot here that HasuObs has, and there's also a lot of tech that Grubby has. The Cybernetic Core, the Twilight Council, the Templar Archives, the Forge, and Grubby's coming back to defend this. Does he have enough to defend it, though? He's only got a handful of units here.
How much anti-air does he actually have with this? The Archons, I mean, they're useful, but they won't close the gap with those carries too quickly. It's going to be up to the Stalkers to try and blink into position to deal with that. And some Archons do come in from the back there and get shredded up by Grubby. So still, HasuObs trying to kill off everything in this main, and just buying time for the recall. He's trying to snipe out the Mothership Core. He got it. So this army's trapped. That
army's stuck up there now. Now we have to see Grubby make sure he has enough air units to be able to destroy it all. 2 carriers with 3 more about to join them. It's a lot of tech that Grubby's lost inside this main base, but he still does have a bit of a better income at this point, but it's not too far different with HasuObs mining from a fully saturated base.
It's kind of funny because I thought that, hey, we may have a short day today, but then I forgot HasuObs was in the group, and that kind of took away from that. But, HasuObs, he's playing this out really, really well. One of the most back-and-forth PvPs I've seen for a long time, and it would have been easy for HasuObs to just get shut down in this PvP, but he hasn't. He's fought back very, very nicely. He blinks forwards to try and pick off a carrier. Not going to get that, though. That's too much firepower.
Stalker's on the best anti-air at the late game stages, and Grubby does deflect HasuObs for now while picking off a right-hand side base, lowering the income of the German player. And do remember, this is just game 1 of this best of 3. We got a lot more to go in this PvP series, as Grubby's willing to sacrifice his units to do damage. If somehow he can get to the left-hand side of this map to get to the real mining bases, that would be ideal. Splits a couple of units up to do so, but behind is still increasing his air count. HasuObs needs to be careful about this. He can't let the carrier count climb too high.
Exactly. There's 5 out already. A good engagement here for HasuObs will kill off a lot of these Archons, so that's a great pickup for him. But again, is the air army just going to be too much for him? Because 3 more carriers out with this currently, if he goes for the right engagement with 8 carriers, that is so much to chew through.
Smart little move here, coming from the Flying Dutchman. Get it?
I like it.
He is moving down to pick off this left-hand side. He wants to pick off that Nexus and also recall if he gets in trouble. I'm not sure if there's a High Templar with... yeah, he does have High Templar, so it's quite important not to get feedback here and not to get his army surrounded. The Mothership Core's far, far left. Actually, can't even lose units at the front. That's got to be careful. 1 carrier will fall.
Yeah, he needs to exploit the positioning here with that high ground as well as that chasm, and should be able to move back just to assault this Nexus once again. So this is probably going to end up dying. HasuObs, meanwhile, though, he's sending his army straight across the map here to, maybe try and do some damage to some other bases.
All right, Grubby needs to recall back. He actually needs to pick off that Nexus and go home. He doesn't know exactly where his opponent is. He's going to risk it. He's going to go and try and go for another base here. He's got to be careful here. This is very risky. If he loses this Air Force...
It's not in the best position either there. Blinks forwards with those Stalkers.
He gets the Mothership
Core! No more recall there for Grubby, and now he's going to be assaulted completely there with the 2 of those Tempests actually going down. The carriers end up saving their lives, but now they're going to try and assault this Nexus, try and get the worth out of them as much as he possibly can do, but they're stranded for a long, long time.
And HasuObs knows that he just needs a couple units to push this back while attacking at the same time. Does Grubby have what it takes to defend back at his main bases now? He is going to be on the high ground, which is better for units coming up the ramp for him, because it's going to be more difficult for HasuObs to break up there because of the structures and whatnot. But does he have enough? He's got 3 more carriers coming in, 4 left down there. He can continue to harass with them, but does he have the defense?
Up top, there's going to be 6 carriers with those 3 popping. There's already 3 out somewhere up there.
Yeah, look at that. They're still in production.
Those Immortals and those Archons actually berating these Stargates. He's going to take 2 of them down before the carriers even pop out. That's very, very annoying for him to deal with here. That's so much firepower that he has. Where are these other 3 carriers? There's 8 on the field. 4 down to the south, 4 somewhere else.
Yeah, 4 up here.
There.
If they can get all back together, maybe, but another one gets picked off there.
Great pick off of that one. And now HasuObs with this army. I mean, it's still his anti-air is 19 Stalkers, 7 Archons.
19 Stalkers may be enough here. That's why Grubby's adding on a bunch of Zealots and Storms and Archons and whatever he can get, cannons as well, to make sure that he doesn't lose these bases. He needs to climb up his unit count again. Is the German player going to be able to break through here? This could be it. It's very difficult to attack up that ramp, though.
Yeah, Grubby's had the income for a long time, and he's kind of pushed this back here. He just hasn't had the infrastructure to keep trying to get this going. Good storms here by HasuObs. Kill off not too much, but weaken a ton of the army.
Well, a lot of the Stalkers were back at home defending against the other carriers, so they weren't there with that army, and Grubby does survive and manage to get up bases on the left-hand side. What a crazy game this is between these two players, really giving it all.
It's been a game of hard decisions to make, especially for HasuObs here, who has had to split up his armies in the way you've just kind of outlined. And Grubby now sending DTs elsewhere to try and go for some harassment, whilst this army in the middle of the map for HasuObs isn't really doing a whole lot right now, and it can't, because he can't separate his anti-air well enough to deal with the harassment at home and go for the break at the front.
Grubby's going to try and go for a Field Hero Mortal production. And if he can get Immortals out, remember how many Stalkers there are here, and if he can start to build up a count that may be higher than his opponents, use at 6.
It's like, what can you do if you kill all the anti-air off? What can he do against those carriers? There's still 6 on the field, and they pack a huge punch, even though they've only got +1 weapons.
Oh, gotta be careful.
Very careful indeed. Blinks forwards. Oh, does not get that next carrier.
No, almost. But, well. We are moving forward again with this. More cannons and pylons being added on. And, yeah, we'll see.
It looks like the Twilight Council still on the way as well for Grubby. Very heavily supply blocked, though, with those 9 pylons warping in as well. So HasuObs here, just still positioning himself. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't think he knows what he's going to do either, to be honest with you. Just try and expand and get an economy back up and running somehow.
Yeah, that's what he's looking to do now. But very difficult, very tense. Both of them looking to, as you say, get their economy up and running to be able to build up whatnot. But here comes a Zealot and a DT behind enemy lines. There's a lot of defense up there.
A lot of defense indeed, and will force the cancellation of that Nexus. Grubby's completely contained up to that top left-hand corner as that DT tries to sneak around with the Zealot leading him. Still, the carriers doing the harassment at the back. Rare that you would see the carriers actually just going for some mild harass, but it's happening.
At 182 supply, I've got to look at the units tab again a little bit more here, because we have to look at the actual armies. 6 carriers. Grubby only at 1 Immortal now, but he is going to start to climb that up, going up to 2 immediately, and the 3rd one should be popping out soon. Very close, 31 Stalkers, 32 Stalkers. HasuObs is saying, I can't really afford to tech up to get a high air count myself, but I'm sure as hell going to build a lot of Stalkers, and I'm going to have enough economy to keep on building Stalkers, but I don't think that's going to help him.
Yeah, it's
that's
a lot,
not going to help him, I don't think. You know, with the amount of Immortals, Archons, Zealots that Grubby's going to have underneath his air, and if Stalkers are the anti-air, how are Stalkers going to actually get to the carriers? That's the big thing here. Especially with that Robo Bay going down and the ability to add carriers. Colossi? Yeah, Colossus coming into the mix as well. Of course, you always, you know, even though there's Tempest and, you know, in the usual PvP games, you always want to be able to go back to Colossus. They have such a high damage output. Yeah. Zealot's being used a lot in the game. Great splash damage against clumped up armies. But Grubby knows what he's got to do here. And thanks for Baby Knight for sending in a tweet here. It is great play between these two players. Some mistakes happening, but that's when, you know, that's what happens when players play like this. I mean, how many times has Grubby or HasuObs played this scenario out before? Exactly. Not many. And to be fair, if you want to talk about PvP, Baby Knight certainly knows his PvP. So he does. Anyway, DT still going to work here up to the top left-hand corner and doing what they can for HasuObs. Just any little advantage that you can try and get here in this situation is absolutely paramount, as he's killed off quite a bit with those. All right, well, Grubby's coming down south. HasuObs goes north. Kind of in this weird rotation of where both players aiming towards each other's bases, and HasuObs not going to return home, is he? Okay, big recall back. Where is he though? He's okay.
It was so important not to go to that Nexus. If he'd have gone to that Nexus, he would have lost so much of his army.
Yeah, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
But he does go back to defend from the high ground here. But this is awkward, I feel, because Grubby may be able to get towards the base slightly to the right.
He should have gone to this base, to the bottom right, to actually try and do that, I think. But anyway, he will break out. He has Blink, so he actually does continue the pursuit here.
Yeah, Grubby goes up to the high ground and he just turns around and fights if HasuObs keeps on going here.
Yeah.
Immortals, Archons, going to be very difficult to blink under this air.
Oh, is he actually going to go?
HasuObs? No, surely not. He's going to take the fight.
Oh, Storms as well as Time Warps land, and, well, both players do back off. It's a bit too dicey to really go for that full engagement.
And remember, the one at this level, when, you know, this army's one of the most expensive armies that both players could have.
Yeah.
This is very, very expensive, going to be very hard to replenish. But Grubby moves down. Is this the fight? Cannons from the high ground are going to offer quite a bit of damage to the Stalkers. Already going down. Grubby's going to come in from the right. HasuObs does decide to blink off. When is this fight going to happen?
Feedbacks and Storms hit a lot of those High Templars. He tries to blink forwards to pick some off there. But at the same time, those Archons now warping in. By time for Grubby to continue actually pushing on forwards.
Carrier's going to do a lot here. Look at the Archons. There's no way these Stalkers are getting to those carriers if it's just a straight up fight.
There's too much of a wall there for Grubby.
That's right.
Grubby's going to continue moving on forwards. And HasuObs, he has to retreat. He's trying to save himself up. Oh,
this could be it. Is he going to blink forwards?
He needs to try and shut down those carriers where he can. He's just trying to take down that ground army, though, at the same time. Blinks on forwards, though. Those two Immortals are actually going to go down. He knows he has to kill those off before he can actually get to the soft core of the carriers, and he will try and bring those down along with this as well. But both players here losing a lot of army supply. Grubby retaining quite a lot of rewarping it. More Zealots coming in for that reinforcement, and he's going to push this back.
Yeah, and Grubby holds strong with his 3 carriers up in the air, and now HasuObs backs off with more gateway units being warped in. No income, really, for the German player. And Grubby potentially closing in on a victory here.
Oh, HasuObs, this is all he's got. He has to make it work with these Stalkers alone. He has to have absolutely phenomenal micro, but Great Storms do hit a lot of that. Blink straight out of them once again here. Once again, HasuObs has no way of really replenishing too much more without buying tons of time.
No Observer there with that army. No Observer out at all here, and that DT's doing a bit of damage, and that means the retreat could be quite bad here.
Great blink forwards once again. Kills off another carrier. Will he be able to get much more than that, though?
There's a cannon there. There's a cannon there. Needs to pull back to the cannon probably to get the detection, but does realize that, you know, HasuObs can't take the fight with just Stalkers there. DT's still doing a lot. Grubby with a better income, though. 1,400 minerals a minute compared to just 400. Remember the replenishment that both players can achieve with that kind of income. 4 Zealots every minute. Grubby, potentially, you know, 4 carriers, whatnot.
And Grubby's in a great position here. A very, very good position. If he can get this base up and running, he's going to be fine. But that Dark Templar going for the harassment gets killed off. Stalkers move on forwards again. But
yeah,
there's
look
too
at
much
that.
of a
Look
wall.
at the income. Big army, big supply for Grubby now. It really is paying off for him having these bases in. Well,
GG, well played. Grubby gives the fist pump as well here. Game number 1 goes to him in what was a crazy PvP. Not much more to say than that.
Not much more to say at all. What a great start here for Grubby in the round of 16. A great PvP. One of the better ones we've seen. One of the better ones we've seen.
And you know, with that fist bump at the end there from Grubby, it's rare you actually see him do something like that in the middle of a series. Normally you see Grubby in a position where he simply calms himself down, shuts his eyes, and goes into that meditative state once again. But after that game number 1, he knew that that was a pretty impressive victory.
That was an impressive victory because there was a lot of times in that game where Grubby was losing. It really could have gone any way for both of the players.
Yeah.
That's why the fist pump was so important, because it really was close, back and forth. But at the end of a 45, 50-minute game, Grubby's the one that has the 1 next to his name and not HasuObs. You can see it is hot in this area. Both players just trying to get a bit of air towards them as we prepare for our second game. But HasuObs is a veteran. That shouldn't affect him, that loss. I mean, I think it's going to affect anybody. It's a bit of a lie. I think it will affect anybody, but I don't think it's going to hurt his game too much.
The thing is, though, is that this is kind of HasuObs' realm. Those lengthy games, even in PvP, are HasuObs' comfort zone for a lot of times. You see a lot of it in the EPS. You see a ton of it in the EPS from this man. but he was vanquished from great decision-making from Grubby, who was just going on reactionary whim. You said before, not many, these players don't get into these situations too often. So there are those mistakes, and it's all about those short reaction times.
Well, it is about decision-making.
Yeah.
And how fast can you think on your feet? That's what it was towards the end there. Grubby's like, all right, this is the problem, this is how to solve it. There's a lot of Stalkers. I need to make an army that's underneath my carriers that aren't going to be affected by Stalkers. Archons and Immortals with a bunch of Zealots. Likewise, HasuObs is like, I can't make air units, man. I don't have any money. I got to build Stalkers. And so he realized that that was the problem that he was facing. And both players put to their limits there, I'd say.
Very much so. And now, going into game number 2, Belshir Vestige is our map. Having a little bit of banter in the chat as well about going carriers against Todd. Todd's not here with us today, but he's been around for quite a bit of the WCS. These guys, again, there's a lot riding on this. You don't want to lose that first series in a dual tournament format.
Yeah, I mean,
tough.
It is very difficult, and that's why I like to call it the pit, or we like to call it the pit, because you go down to that loose match, it is very difficult to escape from there. You have a player you've already played and probably lost against in the future. You've obviously got one game away, the pressure of being down there. It's so much easier, man, just to be in the winner's match and just have one game. I'm going to win it, I'm through. If I mess up, I got another chance. It's so important for your game, for your mentality to win the first series. So we'll see which one will. Is it going to go to game 3? Is HasuObs going to pick up this next map? Does Grubby clean out 2-0?
Well, it wouldn't be WCS Europe without a crazy start to the round of 16. Gotta say, we've had a lot of crazy games in Season 1, and Season 2 certainly hasn't disappointed thus far. Game number 2 between Grubby and HasuObs. Belshir Vestige will be our map as we now load into Belshir Vestige. As we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner here as our blue Protoss. Representing Germany and Mouse Sports, he is HasuObs. And down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Protoss, representing the Netherlands and himself. Currently up 1 game. Give it up for Grubby.
How long of a drive is it to Holland?
Not too far actually from Cologne. It's probably, I guess, an hour and a bit. I want to estimate. It's not too bad.
I know he drove here today.
Yeah?
Or I'm not sure. I think.
You think?
Yeah.
You have an inkling?
Is a backlog story for you.
Here's a backlog story.
Grubby doesn't drive himself. Guess who?
Is it Cassandra? Yeah.
Yeah, Cassandra drives him. He gets chauffeured. He doesn't sit in the front seat either.
Not only a team manager, also the chauffeur.
He sits in the back. He actually sits
He sits in the back.
He sits in the back. He
Playing his Game Boy.
He puts his keyboard and mouse in the front seat.
They're of high importance. They get chauffeured around everywhere. Well, Grubby here now. He's certainly done well in game number 1. Will Cassandra need to chauffeur him forwards into game number 2? Or will he take it himself? I actually fear for HasuObs here in game number 2. If Grubby can play a game like that, it's going to be hard for Hasu.
Yeah, I mean, Grubby played that out so well. There was so many. That's what StarCraft 2 is. For anybody that may not quite get it, it's a series of different puzzles that you need to solve, basically.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not basic. That's actually kind of a bit high level. It's not basic, is it, at all? It is like a bunch of puzzles because you're presented with a scenario, and it's up to you to figure out how to deal with it. And there was a lot of those in that last game. There was a lot of weird things that were like, all right, I got this, and he's got this. Like, what do I do here?
Yeah.
With the limited experience you have playing these kind of long games, I don't think they've played too many of those types of games. It is difficult sometimes.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say limited experience because despite playing at this level, you just don't get into those situations. It just doesn't happen too many times at all. So very, very difficult to just prepare for. You have to just play on the fly. You have to have your raw mechanics and instincts take over at that point and just go on autopilot and try and make something happen. And HasuObs, for now here, he's normally very good in those situations, and he made a lot of good decisions, but Grubby just made the better ones.
Yeah, in this game, looking at it, actually, HasuObs delayed his warp gate research like I've seen him do in the past. He's got 1 gateway, Zealot, Stalker, Chrono boosting it out, Mothership Core on the way as well. I think he's going to do what I described a little bit earlier. I think he's going to poke across the map. He's Chrono boosting the second, Stalker 2, perfect as mentioned. This is definitely, if you didn't hear me talk about it in the setup to this, is a feeling. It's a caressing move from HasuObs to feel out his opponent, to put a bit of pressure on, and to scout exactly what he's doing. He'll see that Twilight Council in his mind. He wants to see that.
Yep.
If he sees it, he'll throw down a Robo. He'll get an Observer and get Immortals. And this is a good start because Grubby's Stalker's going to have to run back. It's lost its shields.
That's certainly not the best
The Mothership
position.
Core from Grubby did go out to scout as well, but that had to come back. The decision's already down by Grubby. 2 extra gateways. Is HasuObs going to find it in time? Because remember, it's late. Is he going to see it? He needs the reaction. He's got a second gateway down because his money's going high. He wants the Robo, but does he know to build it yet?
Yes, he does. There it goes. It goes down. He
hasn't seen it, but
Nope,
he's
that's true.
guessing.
The instincts here, as well as maybe just the blind build order here from HasuObs. But regardless of what it is, Time Warp does actually move on forwards with that Zealot, and he actually catches a Stalker there. There's no sentries.
You're going to get the Mothership Core.
Uh-oh, he needs to actually throw down the phone overcharge, but he doesn't. Oh, he goes for the Time Warp anyway to try and slow all of this down.
I don't think he thought he could get to the Nexus here, and now HasuObs is in there. He's in there, he's killed units. He's going to spot the tech as well. He sees that now. He sees it researching. Perfect decision to go for Immortals now and add on a couple more units. Perfect. This is exactly what HasuObs wants to do in this matchup, and it has worked. Great surround by Grubby, though.
Great surround indeed here, just shutting down all of this, but he does lose a lot of mining time in the process, as well as quite a few probes here. So he's lost 8 workers in total. A great move here. 22 workers to 16 right now. HasuObs sitting firmly in the lead.
If he gets out with that Mothership Core too.
It's going to be close. Actually,
come on.
It's not going to happen.
Come on.
Oh!
Gets out with it as well. And now is the time where it definitely should be... I actually force-filled the ramp there. I'm not too sure what that was about. Maybe...
Maybe thought a DT blow was there or something? That would have been weird.
That's a little bit weird. He's gone for an Observer first of all, but definitely wants to start his Immortal production. Upon seeing Blink Beam research, I'm a little bit scared he decided to go... Did he actually see that Twilight Council was researching? He definitely should have started Immortal production. Why do you need an Observer? You know, we talked about it before.
I wonder if he saw a Chrono Boost on it or anything like that, but...
I don't know, I think he's freaking out a little bit here, but his Immortal production's a little bit late here, which does allow Grubby the potential maybe to break through, but, you know, overall, this is just perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. This is exactly how he wanted and imagined it would play out.
Yeah, so the Stalkers moving out, was able to greet those quite easily, and then behind this Grubby here, trying to go for that Robo facility as well. Just trying to make sure that he is stable behind this, to make sure he can account for anything his opponent's up to, because he doesn't really have that much whoop.
What do you think HasuObs does now? Do you think he expands or what? Or attacks? What would you do?
I mean, technically he could go for the attack, but I think HasuObs probably will just try and go for an expansion play. He has the opportunity to transition into a longer game much, much easier here than Grubby.
Yeah, I actually expand every single time in this position as HasuObs. Yeah, you can attack, but I'd expand. This is the perfect place to do it. He's safe. He's got the tech lead. He doesn't have Blink of his own. He'd get run around, counter-attacked. He does warp in a couple more Zealots, though. I think that should be the last of his units now. If he should be wanted, he definitely should be expanding now. The normal play is to expand here. If he attacks, it is risky.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Very risky.
I mean, you can get shut down by stuff like sentries and whatnot, but it's actually a little bit harder on Belshire Vestige to make that fully work out in Grubby's shoes here. So Grubby is going to expand behind this.
Yeah, I would have loved to see HasuObs expand a little bit faster here.
Yeah.
I think he's playing very cautious here. It is going to come down, but very cautious. But still, as you say, HasuObs has the best follow-up now. He, you know, depending on how he wants to play this out, has the tech to be thrown down next. Whether it be Robotics Bay, or a Forge, or it's both, Twilight Council and Forge. Maybe Forge, Robotics Bay. Whatever he wants, whether it's Colossus, does he want to play Colossus this game? I would like Colossus this game.
Yeah, I won't mind it too.
I would like that because I would go for a big 2-base timing.
Yeah, with the position that Grubby's in, if Grubby, for example, wanted to go for the Tempests or something like that, or even if he wanted to go for Colossus himself, he wouldn't get it fully going by the time HasuObs really found himself in a good position.
Can Grubby even defend this, though? I mean, we're talking about the future of what HasuObs could do with his lead, but he's already behind in supply here, and potential... Oh, look at that. Grubby cancels the Nexus. He knows he's in trouble, and... I mean, it's from the get-go here, it's very similar to how we saw Rhett play out versus MVP. It's just such an advantageous position, losing so many probes, seeing your opponent's tech, getting the right units down. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for HasuObs. Yeah. It's a dream. In a PvP, HasuObs' position is a dream for a Protoss player to be in this position.
He's a happy chap right now. And, well, the Hallucinated Phoenix does see all of this going on, sees the timing of his opponent's Nexus, and he's probably like, well, you know what's going on? There's still a lot. There was a Chrono Boost going down on HasuObs' Robo facility.
Yeah.
So he certainly has the opportunity, in my opinion, also to still go for the aggression whilst having his economy behind this, because his immortal counts are...
Yeah, I think he's a little bit scared because he doesn't really know what Grubby's doing. He saw the Nexus wasn't there. What I would do is HasuObs that sentry, hallucinated Phoenix around the map. He needs to find that Nexus because what will happen is sure he's in a lead, but with double Nexus coming down now, Grubby will very easily catch up in economy. And if given too much freedom, too much time, will very easily catch up in army supply too. It's very important for HasuObs to spot this. Hallucinated Phoenix, my friend. Use it.
He needs it. And, well, he's actually moving on out here. The Hallucinated Phoenix is moving out for Grubby as well, but this army supply right now very heavily in favor of HasuObs. Does he have a proxy pylon down near the other side of the map? No, he doesn't just yet, but that will be very, very useful here as that probe is moving out as well. So Hasu going for the aggression, very important.
It's just probably going to end it, man. This is pretty one-sided, unfortunately, especially after the last game. Last game was very good, very close, but this game's very heavily in HasuObs' favor. For Grubby to win this fight, he's down in Stalkers, down in Immortals, down in Sentries, down in Zealots, down in Probes, and down in this game. Bum, bum, bum.
He's got to try and take the initiative somehow. There was a little poke out there from him, but I don't see it working out. The force fields for him.
And now because Grubby spent 800 minerals on 2 Nexus, that's not any army.
Yeah. Imagine if he'd have had the Zealots, but again, you would still be down in expansions and down in that income. So Hasu here still trying to find an opportunity. Photon overcharge, trying to push this back. One Zealot warping in from... Does he have a proxy pylon behind that Nexus?
Grubby?
Well, how did that Zealot get there?
Teleport, man.
Teleport.
It's got Blink.
It's got Blink. Loving it.
Yeah, still though, HasuObs really hasn't figured out that base is there, I don't think. So if he plays this as a Spoon Terran Protoss, oh man, he's going home. Oh dear. This is kind of nasty, you know, because talking about Grubby spending 800 minerals, HasuObs is like, I don't need to kill him. He's really far behind. He doesn't take his gases in his natural yet. Grubby with Zealot charge behind this, man. Imagine if he built up a major Zealot Archon army that is very good against Immortals and very good against potentially Colossus too.
Yeah, and even his Stalkers don't actually have Blink as well for HasuObs, so
there we go. There we go. Come on, go to the bottom left.
He's actually not going there. He's just going to go to the natural and go right.
Come on, that probe. Something's got to give it to him here.
This probe.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so this is good. This is not a bad thing. He's like, oh, what?
I'll throw a pylon down
and now he moves out again. He's like, oh, what? All right, come on, man.
Yeah, there had to be a huge amount of time for Grubby to make that pay off for itself. Yeah. And HasuObs had a great window to eventually find it, seize it, and should be able to move out and crush it.
Yeah. I mean, Grubby's trying to get to Zealot Archon, but he's not going to get there fast enough. He'll make, what, 1 Archon by the time his army comes across. 4 additional gateways, Zealot charge is done, plus 1 attack is done. HasuObs having a bunch of gateways. Himself, like Grubby is too, but I don't think this should be holdable. Come on, man. You think this is holdable for Grubby?
I don't think so. Unless he gets perfect force field somehow, but...
I'm like this eager child who wants to see Game 3 already in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to be brutally honest with everyone. I'm like, right, I don't think this game's going to go too well.
Yeah, let's just go.
I want to watch Game 3.
Oh, that Colossus doesn't want to get caught out of position, but you're right, I want to see Game 3 as well. I mean, after game number 1.
Yeah.
That was pretty insane.
Zealots get into this mineral line here.
Perfect move to shut that down, but he still could have killed...
Oh, this Spoon Protoss. He is the Spoon Protoss. He's going to drag it out long. You know, no harm in doing so. He wants to make sure that he doesn't mess this up. Imagine if he cocked up the fight.
Yeah.
He'd be out 0-2 and be playing in the losing match against Ret. So he doesn't want to mess things up. He's still in a lead no matter which way we look at it, whether it be income, probes, army. I mean, if we look at both actually, probes, a little bit of a lead. He's got the Nexus coming down. He hasn't killed the Nexus, so the economy's not too much different actually. Just a little bit of a difference. 200-300 minerals a minute difference.
Yeah, it's all fine and dandy for Grubby to have that expansion up really nice and early, but again, having it pay off is a tall order when HasuObs has been so far ahead for a long time, and he's going for the Fleet Beacon again. Just seeing 1 Colossus, he's like, oh, you have a Colossus again. Well, time for me to go for those Tempests to shut it down.
I mean, I know I'm not a big fan of attacking when ahead, and I know Autosis isn't either, but I'm pretty sure we'd both have agree here in this scenario. I think the best decision was to attack.
Yeah.
Because you never, when you're ahead, you get more ahead, but you're also allowing Grubby to get back in the game. Look at the supply count.
Exactly.
He's had 3 Nexus down for a long time. He's got a pretty decent income. He's catching up in army supply. He's, not too far behind in upgrades. The harassment's good from HasuObs, of course, but
I mean,
this game is, you know, look at it.
I mean, army supply, he's caught up so much so that it's almost dead even. 70 armor supply to 81. Upgrades aren't too far behind for HasuObs, a little bit behind. And he's even getting Dark Shrine down to just go for some aggression, maybe even more Archons behind
Imagine if those DTs did damage.
It would
then all of a sudden the game, because I'd say the game right now is slightly in favor of HasuObs, but very equal. And if we take a step back, I would say equal in general, unless we really nitpick on things, but quite equal. And if these DTs did damage, this game could go in Grubby's favor.
It certainly could do.
And HasuObs would kick himself.
Pretty badly.
Kick himself, because he would be so upset with this loss.
Well, he's getting Tempest as well here to deal with the Colossi.
There's only one though. It's not a lot. It's a lot of an investment for Tempest when there's only a single Colossus. Second one coming out though.
I actually quite like this what Grubby's doing. I mean, I don't think he fully knows that Tempests are on the way, but with the Colossus count he has right now. He did see the Stargate as well, so I actually like him with the potential of going for a 4th base here, since he has Colossus and the ability to try and shut his opponent's army down before the Tempest count rises. I think it's hard for HasuObs to actually break these locations right now.
Yeah. Oh god, 4th base coming down here for Grubby. HasuObs, come on man, this was your game, I think.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, everyone would have thought that too. Plus their attack is on the way for him now. Grubby, gonna take anything he can get. Both players starting to get mined out in their bases come 20 minutes. His 4 Zealots here on the left-hand side not gonna do anything. And remember, the winner of this series, currently Grubby is leading it, will play against MVP in the winner's match. And loser will go down to play Ret, who did drop the first game. If you're just tuning in now, 0-2 to MVP. Quite one-sided.
Yeah.
Quite convincing game from MVP as always, when it needs to be.
And I don't particularly think that HasuObs will be too pleased with falling down to play against Ret, because in the past, I mean, Ret's had a pretty superior winning record against HasuObs, like 6 series wins to 3 series losses. So Ret's very, very strong against HasuObs in the past. Look at this, Grubby is feeling so comfortable, he's going for the aggression, wow.
It's really a weird one, this one. It is a weird one. As HasuObs maybe, his downfall of this game is a bit too much, too much passive play. But now Grubby, oh my god, got a supply lead, ladies and gentlemen. 177 supply to 166. Is Grubby gonna close this up? Tempest coming in, always awkward to deal with, even without having a 2-high Colossus count. Of course, coming up to this count with a couple of coming in, 2 coming in now from HasuObs, going to be able to one-shot these Colossus quite easily, do a lot of damage to the thicker units at the back as well.
I've got to say, I did not expect this game to get as far as this. After what occurred in the earlier stages of this game, Grubby having caught up to this point, and now HasuObs trying to arguably catch up a little bit himself in terms of economy, but maybe not too much for army.
Hey, this is a gift here for Grubby and his fans. That's a beautiful flank. We're not flank, but a setup there from Grubby.
Very nice.
HasuObs are taking that fight. I would have wet my pants, because that was not a good one to take, and he would have just lost this series. But
and now he opens up this location as well. Grubby, I mean, HasuObs, do you want to come in and defend this? It's difficult with the army poised outside there.
Depends on the position here. Can Grubby start the Nexus and get out? Slow armies at this stage of the game.
Very, very slow. And those Tempests would have a good location to barrage those Colossi from, so Grubby wants to pull back now.
DTs in the army as well. I think I can just about see them. I have to squint my eyes to see DTs. They are, of course, cloaked invisible units.
Bit tough to see.
They are tough to see sometimes. But still, this game continues on. We're approaching the 23-minute mark now.
Where's this little contingent going? Well, the Zealots are actually attacking the 3rd base as well. And he's going to have to pull back here from this 4th location. HasuObs does have the army supply advantage.
Not the best army position, though. Look at that. All of his units at the back are comped up. 3 or 4 models not doing anything there. He needs to move it. He needs to adjust it.
Tempest killing off the Colossi, and they will go down very, very quickly, along with the Mothership Core actually dying as well here. But Grubby does have a pretty good position with some of the Archons, but they're going to have to fall back as well. I think HasuObs will take a bit of an advantage here with those Immortals now moving into the fray.
Yeah, the Tempest, worth their weight here, just doing so much damage. Colossus down immediately. That means it's very difficult to deal with the mass Zealots. He is retreating now, Grubby. picking off the last couple of Zealots, retreating units, but that was a win for HasuObs. You look at the units lost tab, that was a win. That fight was convincing.
Did Grubby have to take that engagement?
He did not. He did not have to. He did not have to.
It was a weird one, but now even Zealots moving in here for the flank, trying to push this army back once again. That's a lot of reinforcements here from Grubby to push this back. Zealots tanking a lot of damage at the front. Those Immortals, not that useful against this. Even DT's in the mix, though. With no Observer there for Grubby, he's going to have to fall back. So many Observers for HasuObs.
Yeah,
Wow.
a lot of Archons coming in here for Grubby, spending that money. But again, HasuObs back in the lead after that fight. That was a decent fight that he took. Not the best setup of position, but finally got up that hill, got those Immortals shooting down. But income still relatively similar. Those 4-5 Tempests, though, at the back. So much damage. So much damage to these units. And it looks like HasuObs may be able to get that game back in his hands.
It's seemingly so here. This third base that was once completely neglected has now fallen here.
Yeah.
For HasuObs, a very, very good pick-off. Just retreats on out, pokes away with the Tempest once again, saying no, 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 and then runs away.
Yeah, his Tempest, very difficult to deal with once they're established up in the ground. You really need a good fight in an open area where you can get around to the Tempest. That wasn't there for Grubby in the fight on the left-hand side. He's fighting uphill, and it was a very narrow choke point. And like you said, I think you said it right. Did Grubby have to take that fight there? I don't think he did. I don't think he needed to take that at all. But it is HasuObs now back in the lead. 185 supply to 152, as we can see at the top of the screen. And is closer and closer to tying this series up, even though it seemed like the game was slipping away slowly but surely from HasuObs' grasp. And he is back in the lead. Can he finish it now? Can he finish it?
An interesting choice from Grubby to get over observer speed, just to, I guess, try and zip around the map here and keep an eye on the opponent's army. But unfortunately for him, HasuObs always has a lot of observers with him, so can easily shut that down if that's the case. I think he was supposed to get Warp Prism speed, but maybe the misclick.
Well, a couple of Zealots. Nice harassment, actually. Do break into the third, but on the fourth as well. A lot of cannons, warp-ins, DT, Zealots, you name it, get warped in. Grubby's still trailing. And, well, HasuObs going to put Grubby in a bit of a submission move here because he says, right, come out and defend your fourth, or I'm going to kill it. And Grubby, of course, upon losing his third base, can't afford to lose this one as well. And Grubby does come out into the low ground to fight. I think that could have been a fight HasuObs wanted to take, but of course no reinforcing pylon. Grubby would be able to reinforce a lot faster in these positions.
Hasu arguably on lockdown with his defenses behind this, but he does only have 56 probes to the 67 probes of Grubby, so HasuObs doesn't want to give Grubby too much room once again, because we've already seen what that can lead to in game number 1. Hasu, with his upgrades on the way, he needs to make this work for him.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He's, you know, it's okay to get more ahead at this point. He's got a good amount of money income at the moment. Decent gateway count. He's making sure he's safe on all 4 bases. Grubby did lose his third for a moment, but it is back up and running again. Army supply is not too different between him. Just a little 20 supply-ish advantage here for HasuObs, as Grubby is trailing, as you can see, 187 to whereas he could be at 200. And is down a little bit in probes too, HasuObs is. That increases his army count.
Should be able to catch up here eventually, should Grubby. Once again,
if you just look at the units tab, you compare the units they have, you'd say HasuObs, has the better army every day of the week.
Yeah, very, very nice army here. The one advantage that Grubby kind of has is in those Archons, having a lot of them out once again here. But in comparison to the previous game, his shield upgrades aren't really there just yet. He only has +1 shields in comparison to the really, really rapid pace up to that +3 shields that we were seeing before here. Whilst the Zealots now dart into that third base, and, well, all these armies just dancing around in the middle of the map.
Come on, push the armies together. It's like that picture, kiss, now kiss.
Now kiss.
Now fight. Now fight. You armies. As they are rotating around in this kind of weird anti-clockwise motion.
It's the yin and yang symbol, man.
It is. They are coming around.
They're a bit reluctant.
And who's going to make the recall? Who's going to be brave enough to make that recall? Who's going to come back to defend? Who wants to try to fight? What's going on here? What is going on?
They're hitting each other at exactly the same time, because why on earth not?
What is going on here? I can't tell who's going to win these kind of base trades, because it's a matter of ability, or does some guy decide, all right, screw it, I got to go back to defend?
They're neck and neck. completely neck and neck. Look at this. They're both barraging the naturals at exactly the same time.
If you look at the mirror, like shape this up as a mirror, Grubby does have, you know, that base to the top right though, which has been spotted. Very similar resources, very similar supply. Which way is this going to go? I have absolutely no idea now.
The Colossus just snuck out from Grubby's base as well. And the thing is, because HasuObs is very zealot heavy, his army is not killing...
will be the one, yeah.
Yeah, it's not killing the base off that quickly.
I reckon he goes to the fourth down here. Oh, he goes to the main. Ooh. Into the main here. That's an interesting choice. I thought he could come from behind and surprise Grubby, but he is going to fire from his main base here. Grubby is going to try and go up the ramp. That's not the best decision in the world. One Archon does get caught off.
Storms, and both, yeah, he does force the recall.
God, army supply is so similar, but I think the quality of HasuObs' army is a little bit stronger with the Tempest in there.
But the Zealots, once they charge on in, they're going to die very, very quickly to Grubby's army. He does recall away for now. God, it's so even, Sean. I mean,
let's have a look at the income, though, now. I mean, both have killed bases, right?
God, it's so even as well. Gosh. Oh, these guys. Killed off so many workers.
This is a weird one, this one. This is a weird series, and it's in it whole. Just game one, game two.
Observers.
164 supply. HasuObs missing a bunch of pylons. He has to rebuild here. And a bunch of units left in his main base here from the recall. Looks like they got trapped around the Nexus and pylons and whatnot.
Oh.
That's a little bit unfortunate. He's got to kill the Cybercore. He's already rebuilding it. That sucks.
The Cybercore of all things, couldn't he kill off the gate? Ah, well. Anyway.
He's chosen the Cybercore, Claris.
It's gone.
You know, as a StarCraft player, you stick next to your decisions, hand in hand. You are proud about the decisions you make. Sometimes.
Alright. Okay, army supplies are going to be extremely even. 131 to 124. Whoop. And he's actually just going to move on forward here. He tries to kill the mothership core off. He does. Good storm here from HasuObs. We'll push this on back with the Archon actually dying off very, very quickly. Not the best.
That immortal count, man. That is a scary thing. That is scary. More Zealots been added in for Grubby here, but...
Grubby's in the lead in terms of supply right now, and he's actually pushing on forward.
Does he have the right quality of units? He may have the quantity, but does he have quality?
Yeah, it's gonna be down to it.
He's got a lot of Zealots in there, a lot of Stalkers. They aren't that good.
And that was another good storm there. It's gonna be up to the Zealots. The Zealots are actually going for a counterattack into the main here of HasuObs. If he sits on top of the production facilities again, just kills those off, and behind this just tries to get these bases up and running, I actually think that Grubby can just play this out very long again. I don't think Hasu's gonna go for direct engagement.
Look at HasuObs' bank though. He lost his Cybercore. He would love to build some units. His army supply count will go up. So even though Grubby may have, well, of course, he's going to have to turn his gateways on first if he wants to build additional units. Grubby, yeah, that's a cheeky Nexus if I've ever seen one.
It certainly is. Grubby's that kid that just kind of plays with the light switch on and off and turning your gateways off and on and off and on. Unfortunately for HasuObs, those lights are completely out right now. The army supply is still in favor of Grubby, but as you said, the quality's there. HasuObs has the storms, he has the Tempest, but not for long if he's not careful. He needs to keep those protected.
Yeah, the big difference is 5 additional Immortals and 4 Tempests. That's like the big difference between the two.
That's a lot of Archons, though. And the High Templars move on forward here, getting those feedbacks on those High Templars to actually shut down a lot of those storms. Only one storm left there. The Colossus will end up dying off, but that's a lot of Archons moving on forwards. He doesn't... Oh, the Tempests are going to be completely vulnerable. He needs to keep those alive. He
needs to spend his money. He needs to morph in some Archons here. He's losing his Tempests.
Oh, those Archons. There's so many of them here for Grubby right now. 11 against the 4, and Grubby takes a significant army supply.
No observers, though. There's no observers for Grubby. DTs get in there. They've all been picked off. They've all been picked off.
Observers, once again, the absolute downfall. He has one so close to the army, but he's not bringing it to the right side of the army here. And he's killed off so much.
The DTs just did a lot there for HasuObs and German.
What is going on?
The German pushes the supply lead once again a little bit in his favor with the Temple Archive. That's why we didn't see any Archon. He didn't have the Temple Archives. Only just now building it, adding it on, but Grubby without that Observer. That's why we've been seeing so much Observer speed coming in with Observers and Tempests.
Grubby's income right now is very, very good in comparison to Hasu's, relatively good in comparison to Hasu's, and Hasu's getting mined out very, very quickly here. So he's going to have to expand elsewhere, but this is a rough call for HasuObs. You expand, but you also need to keep raising your army account because you know your opponent's got a very active base up there.
He's got 2 there, hasn't he, really? He's got that one and then the one above that. He's got double income, basically, so he's going to keep on rising. Surely not is Grubby going to... What, this game has just been back and forth.
This series.
Up and down, upside down.
Flipping all around, man.
Flipping all around.
This is a weird PvP series, but I wouldn't have it any other way, as Paul Proby wanted to expand. He dies off.
HasuObs says, you know, I'd like to call the classic line here. You know, the ticking bomb is ticking.
Yeah.
You know, because he's running out of time.
He is.
Grubby's mining from double base. He's getting cannons down. He doesn't have that many minerals left on that base anyway, so he really has to get across and do some damage with that army he's got. Otherwise, Grubby's going to have too strong an army, and, you know, the quality's not there as much as it used to be. He's lost a lot of units. He's lost a lot of Immortals. He's lost the Tempest. Grubby's quantity would probably work here.
Whoa, doesn't lose that Mothership core, and we'll pull it back. Double time warp goes down just in case it did die off and prevents HasuObs from going. And I hate to be very, very British here, but for HasuObs, this is quite the conundrum. Quite.
No, it is. It really is. He's in a bit of a pickle, and he needs to get out of that, and that's through expanding or taking a fight. One of them. Expanding would put him in a bit of a difficult situation because he'd have to defend it. Grubby potentially can take a new base as well here. It would give Grubby map control, which he's going to take himself anyway now, as his army supply count's counting in. Well, there's a base that's going to be taken by Grubby anyway. He's just saying, screw it, I'll take this top right base anyway. I'm going to be 3 bases versus 1. But HasuObs needs to do something soon. He's been a little bit too passive in this game, a setback, a little bit too much. Grubby's taken every little bit of opportunity, every little bit of food that's been offered to him on the table. He's taking it, he's eating it. Evacuating this, he knows he's not going to save that. There's no point coming back.
There's not much even. Yeah, there's not much even left there either. And Grubby just decides, well, you know, you're going to go for my base that's pretty much mined out. I'm just going to go straight for your main, straight for your infrastructure once again, shutting down those gateways, preventing the ability to actually warp any more units in here. And then he could just recall out, defending his more active mining bases to save it. But he has to be careful because that army is rapidly approaching.
And well, how's this going to go down? Grubby, I think the Grubby won't recall now, unless he recalls to the top right. He can always walk out too. It's not too far to go. He just need to rush back, I suppose. But he's not going to have any mining bases. He's lost that one there. What does he do? His army's too spread. It's not going to recall if it's all too spread. He's going to walk.
He's going to walk on back. These are interesting decisions. Both
there's a lot of probes up there.
I'm surprised that he actually did not come back to save either of these bases.
Well, he's coming back now in single file.
And those are Immortals here. I mean, this is a good position for HasuObs. He's going to get that Nexus and then just try and retreat out.
He's also losing a lot, though. He does recall out.
Army supplies 90 to 84 in favor of Grubby, so still very close.
And now, what the hell is this game? Grubby's supply block, he's not mining, he's got no money for a Nexus, and HasuObs is the one sitting on a new Nexus. He's on the high ground up there. If Grubby was to ever attack up there, Grubby's losing pylon after pylon. Grubby's done. Like, he's done when it comes to money and income. He's not having an Nexus. He's got pylons to build. He's not ever adding anything to his army. Dark Shrine. Observers are 4 apiece, though. They are 4 apiece. But if they were to go down, Grubby can never, ever rebuild these observers. He can't rebuild anything now. He's a goner.
Yeah, the income's just looking... Well, neither player really has too much of an income. Hasu just a little bit here, whilst his base to the bottom left does get up and running. But Grubby now, I mean, his army is pretty strong.
Oh, in the middle. Oh. Well, like Grubby was about to go up there, he decided not to.
Only 2 Tempests left.
But look at that, an Archon being added on, Dark Templar potentially.
HasuObs.
Every single unit that gets added on pushes HasuObs into a more winning position.
Yeah.
A better position. Observers went down there, that's not too good. It's 3 versus 2 now. Grubby still with 3.
It's got to the point in this game where we're...
Imagine if those Tempests, though, snipe the Observers, man. There's 1.
Yeah.
There's 1.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Grubby's down to just 2.
2 left.
2 left. Of course, Dark Shrine now finishing up. He cannot lose his Observers, and I think that's going to be a focus here of HasuObs with his Observers and Tempests of his own.
Oh, blinks on forwards here to try and do some damage to this base, but this isn't the mining base. This isn't the proper mining base now for HasuObs. The base down to the bottom left is being protected by the positioning of HasuObs' army.
Another Observer.
Contention.
Ooh. Ooh. 1 hit point left.
Wait a minute.
He cannot lose. He does have another one over there, but he cannot lose these. Dark Shrine is done. There's already a Dark Templar somewhere.
Now, does Grubby realize what's going on here? He's eventually going to see a Dark Templar. HasuObs doesn't want to reveal it just too quickly. He's got a lot.
He just warped in a bunch of crap.
What did he warp in? He warped
a bunch of units.
a bunch of Zealots and Dark Templar and Nexus.
Oh, forward blink.
Good storm. Very good storm. Nice feedback. We'll shut that down in the end. Does he have storm himself? I don't think so. It's just for the feedbacks, right? Or
Not sure, mate. Not sure.
Not sure, mate.
All right. Well, Dark Templar's got over to this base, doing a bit of damage, remember?
So now it's revealed, though. So he can try and keep alive his observers, but
is
still.
he even thinking about that at this point?
Probably not.
Oh god, Probe's killing DT. You think you'd never see that? Oh my gosh.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. He's like,
doesn't happen very often, that.
I want the Nexus.
Remember that, guys? Grubby versus HasuObs, the game, the PvP series, it took 4 hours. Remember that? Probes just killed a DT.
That's how it works.
Another base is going to go down. That's kind of normal. I don't think that's too much of a stressful thing here for HasuObs, but it's a difficult position to fight here. You know, there's the photon overcharge available on the Nexus. There's a
I think HasuObs has just bought himself too much time.
Grubby's going to go. Golden Shield's up. This is it.
He's just going to go straight for it. The Archons try and close the gap here with a lot of this army, but the Tempests do move on backwards. But will they be able to provide him enough firepower here to shut all of this down? That's a lot of Zealots in HasuObs' army, so they're not really providing too much right now. The Robo facility will go down here, and Grubby pulls on back, tries to blink forward, trying to snipe off what he can. It's going to be so close. Army supplies right now heavily in favor of HasuObs in the form of 10 supply. But again,
he's losing all his probes on the right-hand side to those DTs too. This is it. This is everything for Grubby. And it looks like HasuObs is going to stand strong on this left-hand side base with that supply. Look at it.
Oh, HasuObs trying and succeeding in the end here.
God.
Just shutting down the rest of these Archons. These Stalkers are nothing to deal with. GG for game number 2, and HasuObs.
Jeez.
With the fist pump himself.
46 minutes. 46 minutes, game number 2. 55 or whatever it was, game number 1. We're going to game number 3, and this is difficult. Through thick and thin, through wind and rain, through storm and fog.
even HasuObs can't believe it.
Through blood and sweat, and through PvP, HasuObs pulls through.
A lot of sweat.
Even though that probably could have ended at the 10-minute mark. It took 46 minutes.
Well,
and the series continues.
All right, game number 3. It's going to be Proxy 2 Gate. It's going to be something, man. We'll see. Yeah, this has been an absolutely crazy series. Both games so back and forth here. We can actually show a replay of the winning moment there from game number 2 before we get into game 3.
You see the emotion through HasuObs playing 2 dramatic long games. They look on the right hand. Well, actually, I'm sorry, this is game number 1.
Oh, this is game number 1.
Grubby's emotions there. I've just seen how much that big game meant to him with that fist bump in map number 1, and HasuObs did the same, as you pointed out, in map number 2. And the series tied up.
And again, Red City is our map for game number 3.
Red City.
What a map to close it out.
Red City is a map that not too many people play on. It is vetoed out a lot. It appeared in the GSL, was quickly taken out as well.
And it's a tough one in Protoss versus Protoss. The amount of space control you can get with force fields around the perimeters of the map, not necessarily in the middle, maybe near the watchtower, but aside from that, any kind of pathway through the sides of the map are so hard to actually traverse with a Protoss army. So we could be in for another long game once again.
I definitely think that's possible. Red Cities, like you said, just, you know, that map, that kind of map. And we'll see if we do go for a long one now. It's HasuObs. I was going to say warms up, more like cools down as he gets ready for this map number 3. And it's too close to call.
It is.
It's not the players, and you look at him and be like, all right, this is Grubby versus HasuObs. It's close in that direction, but because of what we've seen, anything can happen.
It can. Everybody was pegging it as 50-50 here. It looks like it's gone to 50-50. 1-1, game number 3, Red City, as we now jump in to the final map between these 2 Protoss monsters, as we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner here as our Red Protoss once again. Winning game number 1, but falling in game number 2, representing himself and the Netherlands. Give it up for Grubby. And spawn down to the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Protoss, representing Germany and pulling it back in game number 2. Give it up for Maus HasuObs.
The only German in the WCS round of 16. WCS Premier League, remaining only German, should we say. And we'll see if he can carry that German flag through to the round of 8, which will be happening on Saturday and Sunday this coming weekend. So bookmark that one, all StarCraft fans and any other game fans. It's going to be a good
Europe.
one.
It's WCS Europe. We have awesome games absolutely every single day, pretty much.
Lots of fun, lots of cool games, cool interviews, cool players, cool people.
Yeah.
And,
cool atmosphere as well, man. The crowd today is fantastic.
Crowd's been pretty sick, enjoying the games. And of course, if you want to join that crowd or be a part of the crowd, tickets are still available for tomorrow, the following day, the following day after that, and I'm sure there's tickets still available for the weekend. So if you do want to make your way to Cologne, Germany, whether you live close, want to travel from far, whatever it is, come say hi. I'll give you a high five.
Ooh, for high fives.
And you can meet some of the best in the business here.
Yeah. MC, despite not playing today, he's here, or was
Somewhere.
here. Somewhere, yeah. He kind of disappears whenever he wants, but yeah. He was here for a little bit. And, well, we're going to see what happens here.
Have you played many PvPs on this map?
I did, and for the most part, I had a lot of Stargate play. A lot of Stargate play, I'm afraid.
You played against
I played
Stargate?
against a lot of Stargate play. I was trying to go for more expansion, kind of robo-expansions. It didn't really work out too well against the Stargate play, I gotta say.
I definitely, yeah, I mean, Stargate's almost a blank counter. They sure as hell be trying to stream snipe you or whatever.
Yeah.
But I definitely like this map for a one-gate expansion. I really like it for this map. It's nice and big.
Yeah. Works out all right. And, well, I guess I saw a lot of Stargate play because it does negate a lot of the terrain. I mean, again, any kind of areas around the first, second, third, fourth even, there's so many chokes to actually force field off very, very nicely in a defensive posture. So going for that kind of play, this is why we said before, there's the potential for a big game. But where are you going, sneaky probe? Wow. This is cool, because what HasuObs did was he scouted down bottom left-hand corner, saw his opponent wasn't there. By deduction, process of deduction, he says, well, you're up to the top. So I'm going to throw the pylon in the middle. I'm going to go for...
Oh, God.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, God.
I'm not too sure what HasuObs' pylon's for, though. That's the complicated thing here.
Is it not for some kind of... Well,
no, it's not. I don't think it's for proxy. I think it's just for later use. Like, he's lost his probe. Why did he, you know... It doesn't make too much sense. So he's at 2 gateways. I think he's just going to expand here and just use that for scouting or whatnot. What's he going to throw down here? Is it additional gateway? 3 gateways. He is a little bit unsure what's going on. So 3 gateways does make sense.
Yeah.
Backed up by another pylon there, playing very conservative here. And he's going to use his mothership core. With using your mothership core, that's obviously a sign that he's not aggressive with these 3 gateways. It is reactionary scouting with the mothership core. Potential recall back. But we have the Stargate finish for Grubby.
The ominous Oracle.
Which has not been spotted at all. HasuObs is going to have a hard time identifying this as well. Just by his mothership core in the main base, you can't see anything.
Yeah.
He won't be able to identify this at all.
Sending stalkers out as HasuObs to try and get a bit of scouting information, just moving out between these bases here. But he's not seeing anything, not at all.
His units are out of position. They're on the other side of the map, just, you know, trying to look for his nexus here. Just super conservative play. The Oracle's going to get in there. The stalkers are too far away.
It's going to be followed up aggression here from gateways, but looks like the pylon's going down as well.
Oh, this is going to hurt,
so
man.
vulnerable.
After all this, 2 dramatic games going over an hour and a half, and he loses probes like this incredibly fast.
He doesn't even care if he actually loses this Oracle in the end by looks of things as well, because he just sniped out 7 workers. He moves into the natural as well here. Tries to put on some aggression. Ooh, but does get caught on the wrong side of that force field with a few of these units. The Stalker will go down, and he retains a lot of his units as well. So it's going to be hard. He's trying to build the Void Rays here as Grubby to try and break this. Oh, hello.
The second Oracle, man. The amount of probes he's lost, his income's dropped. A Void Ray, as you say, is coming in.
Well, we'll see if HasuObs can actually defend against this. He has quite a few units, again, but can he deal with the extra addition of a Void Ray in that frontal push is the question. It's going to be close, actually. The supply count's pretty even. 18 army supply to 17, and he loses his mothership core.
Does lose his mothership core, but look how many probes have been killed.
Still getting more. Wow.
I mean, he's at 18. He's lost 13, but I mean, 18's not bad.
Not too bad.
13's been killed. That means more have actually been built to replenish the ones that have been lost. Void Ray's keeping up, but Grubby's caught a little bit out here because he is trying to be aggressive himself, but there's units coming there. He's lost his mothership core. He doesn't really have anything to defend. HasuObs sends in the Phoenix to be like, what's here?
There's nothing.
Wait a minute. Now this becomes awkward and weird because both players are going to attack each other.
Well, this is awkward.
Well, this is just the, this is the icing on the cake here, this series.
Base raid!
But there's still only 3 stalkers or whatnot, and he's going to turn off the gateway, so the stalker can't, he squeezes out
And he lost his mothership core, so actually Grubby just can't recall back. So he's just stuck over the other side.
These void rays are super important here for Grubby. Like, he's got one. Did he get a second? I think he's got a second. Yeah, he's got 2. Oh, the recall! The recall comes back in. He's going to lose the void rays.
Whoa!
And he doesn't lose all his Pro 2. This is great for HasuObs.
Oh, fantastic snipe off of that one, but he doesn't have any more ability to actually produce any more units here. That one void ray needs to stay alive, but it doesn't in the end. It goes down. Photon overcharge on that Nexus in the main as well. Grubby right now has no more production left. These Stalkers are going to be all he has left to actually shut this down.
That's it, man. That was great.
HasuObs fighting on here for Germany, trying to push Grubby back. He's down to these last Stalkers. GG, and HasuObs takes the series 2-1. Clap of victory. And that was a PvP series to remember.
That is definitely one to remember. A long, long series between both the players. Did end very short there, really cutthroat at the end. But it is the German who picks up the 2 games back-to-back, losing the first one, and advances to play MVP in the winners. Grubby will go up against fellow countrymen again. We've seen this time after time in StarCraft 2. In the beginning, Rhett was always the winner, and then Grubby started to take the wins. They will face off again here in the WCS Europe Premier League Day 1, round of 16.
So that means we have certainly very interesting matchups on the way. Certainly very interesting indeed. Getting to see Grubby and Red again, that's going to be pretty cool.
That's going to be great, and HasuObs has his chance to be a hero today.
He does.
He could go through in first place, pushing MVP down to the loser bracket, the lower bracket here, and he could be going through in first place. It's all up for picks. I mean, if we look at HasuObs in the round of 32, I don't think not too many people predicted him to get through in first place there either, which he did.
Yeah, he's certainly proving a lot of people wrong. I mean, he is at his peak performance right now. Across his entire StarCraft 2 career, he is at his peak performance. He's just playing very, very well right now. And we'll see what he has to say here as we have an interview with the victor, Mr. HasuObs himself.
Thanks very much, guys. With the winner of what was an incredible 3 maps. I was tired just watching it. I know, looking at you at the end of the second game, there was relief on your face, but you were dripping as well. I mean, it's very warm in here. The air conditioning's on full blast. I guess I start with map 1. 59-minute game. Yeah, there was a moment at the start, around about 14 minutes. I don't know whether you were aware or not, but the crowd was certainly aware that there was an opportunity for you to finish the game, but you didn't take it. Why?
No idea, actually. Well, after I defended the first Colossus attack, I was in a pretty huge lead, I think. Even though I lost my Nexus, I killed most of his army. And then I had the feeling that he will try to do something with Warp Prisms, so I was trying to get up cannons, but his 4 DTs just arrived in time to kill my main Nexus. And then I walked back instead of attacking, so maybe I could have finished the game there, even with losing my Nexus. But from there on, it just went to a super late game, and yeah, the game was just crazy. I don't know. Grubby did some really smart decisions, so like he was taking my bases while getting some of his own. So his army movement was just a little bit better in the late game, I think.
I mean, you're the master of the late game PvP usually. So when it went into the last, got towards an hour, I thought, oh well, that's it now. HasuObs has got this one. How did you bounce back from that in game 2?
Well, the second map was pretty crazy as well. Like it was almost similar to the first map, where it was some kind of base trade. And at one point, I was sure I was going to lose because I thought he has 2 mining bases and I was only at 1 mining base. But then I was able to snipe, I think, 3 Nexuses with 1 tech, while he didn't have recall on his mothership core in the end. And yeah, from there on, I just had to defend my new base, and with Nexus Cannon and like the very, very narrow entrance, it was pretty hard for him to break me. And yeah, just pretty crazy overall. I guess we both made a lot of mistakes because you usually don't practice such a game. It was just totally off the normal PvP games.
Map 2, effectively, I mean, in your mind, you were like, okay, I'm ahead now, I'm going to win this one, okay, it's done, but it just never seemed to get done. Was that, how do you stay focused when you're so hard and it's so tough and you're 1 game down already? No mistakes in that second game.
In the end of the second map, my main focus was on not losing my observers, because I realized that he was trying to snipe them, and then 1 DT could ruin the game, so I sent them all behind my Nexus, my last mining Nexus. And that was basically my main focus point, because I knew my army is almost the same size. Maybe his was a bit bigger, but with the defending advantage of the Nexus cannon and the area around my Nexus, I knew that he couldn't just A-move and kill me. So yeah, like my main focus was on not losing my observers and keeping my Tempest alive, because I could always get some free shots.
Our third map was fairly straightforward in the end, I guess. How do you focus now for the winner's game against MVP after such an epic game of PvP? You're not going to get your PvT right.
I got some builds prepared for MVP. Obviously, I practiced more PvP and PvZ, since MVP is the clear favorite in our group, I think. But I'm pretty sure that each of us can still take at least one map, or maybe even a best of 3 if you're a bit lucky. So yeah, let's see. I will just try to play my best, and let's see where I end.
Well, very best of luck to you in that game. That game is coming out fairly shortly, of course. But first, we've got Mr. Apollo to break down what was one of the most epic PvPs we've seen in WCS Europe.
Hello everybody, and I'm back to my wonderful screen again. It's time to show you the weather, and we're going to be taking a bit of a closer look at that last game. Just kind of, you know, in the heat of the moment for Grubby and HasuObs, it is very difficult to focus on what exactly is going on, because Grubby right now is trying to make an attack on the left-hand side, but as we can see, he's got the oracles coming in and whatnot, but the most important part is this mothership call. Because it's so early in the game, it's only 7 minutes 45 in the game, losing that actually changed everything, because there's no potential for him to go back and be aggressive himself or whatnot. I mean, to recall or use that. It's actually very, very important here, because what ends up happening is once that goes down, HasuObs says, well, I still have mine. Well, why don't I go in and be aggressive, kill everything he has, and come back and defend? Because Grubby, at this point in the game, has chosen to go all in, basically, off one base, right? He's got 3 gateways, he's got a bunch of units. He's trying to kill HasuObs outright, which potentially could happen. But what HasuObs did, upon picking off Grubby's mothership core, enabled himself to get in, kill all the probes, and then very easily, once he realized, well, the job is done, basically recall out. And from the recall out, which we see very shortly here, once he realizes the job is done, still back with Grubby, it's very disjointed to how things are trying to be made. So there's one Void Ray here, and the recall comes in, Grubby's like, oh crap, I'm in trouble. And he is, because the Void Ray instantly goes down, and then the next one gets targeted, and it really all came down to him losing the mothership core on the right-hand side there, unfortunately. And with that one going down, 2 bases, Photon Overcharge as well, it was just a really perfect setup and defense there from HasuObs. And as brutal as it looked, it was a sharp and close end to it in that series. And well, that's kind of it. It was kind of quite an easy game there, guys, so not too much to look at there, but we will be doing more on this screen throughout today and, of course, for the rest of the week. And I hope to see you on this screen with me a little bit later. So let's go over to Paul with some social media stuff.
Thank you very much, Sean. Yeah, Sean there to break down what was the most amazing PvP I've seen in quite some time. Fantastic games from both HasuObs and from Grubby. We're going to take a very short break in a moment. But before we do, just a quick reminder for you. Tickets are still available if you'd like to come and join the awesome crowd that have joined us here in the Cologne studio. We're very lucky, actually. We've got a full house tonight. It's been a fantastic evening already. I'm sure there's more games to come as well. Don't forget, there's also premium tickets available for you on the stream as well. So plenty for you to get into. There's also plenty going on social media right now as well. Don't forget, you can tweet using the hashtag #WCS. You guys here in the studio, you tweet as well. Let's get #WCS trending all over the world right now. So, we're going to take a very quick break. Oh, hang on. We've got the premium thing, of course. I forgot to mention premium. So, you know, sub only, that kind of stuff, special stuff in the chat. It's all there. I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I probably don't. So I'm going to move on very quickly. That is it from the first 2 games here at WCS Europe. Season 2 Premier League round of 16. We'll be back after this with more action. Don't go too far away. More StarCraft 2 coming your way.